Just underway here in downtown Detroit, the 8th annual Motor City Bowl. Connecticut in its first ever bowl game against the Toledo Rockets in this game for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. And Connecticut, Craig, with a nice opening drive. They took the opening kickoff, got a 35-yard kickoff return from Larry Taylor, marched down to the 17-yard line of Toledo. It bogged down. They kick a field goal.
We saw a little bit from both sides. We saw Orlovsky in that offense of Connecticut with the ability to run the football. Cornell Brockington, the ability for him to throw the football, good checks at the line. But we also saw Toledo's defense step up, make an adjustment when they got to the red zone, and they were able to stop them and force the field goal.
Dan Orlovsky, 3 out of 4 passing on the opening drive. They went 8 plays, 41 yards to set up the field goal by Matt Newsy, a 35-yarder. And Bruce Gradkowski getting ready to take the field for Toledo. Lance Moore back to receive the kickoff.
Man, how about Fresno beat Virginia, huh?
Coming from behind to beat the favored Cavaliers in Boise, Idaho. A little trickery, and Connecticut is not fooled. Moore fired the ball to Terrence Hudson, who was smothered back at the 8-yard line. One of the staples of this Toledo program under Tom Amstutz has been trick plays. He said they're not trick plays, they're just a part of what we do. Well, Connecticut knows that, and Ricky McCollum was there holding his ground to make a nice play on special teams
and
coverage.
Look at the blanket, Sean. Everybody see their lane assignments, staying backside. I mean, that's the sign that a coverage team must have, and especially like you said, when you've got a mad scientist offensive coordinator, you got a coach that's not afraid to do some stuff. I mean, you must be disciplined out there.
Gradkowski playing with a broken bone in his throwing hand. Send it out to Kenny Higgins, who runs for a first down out to the 20, a 12-yard gain. Gradkowski, a junior from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, completed 71% of his passes this year. Second in the nation, through 27 touchdown passes, and for 3,475 yards.
That's a bunch.
Playing with a dislocated left shoulder and a broken bone in his right hand, both suffered in their MAC championship game victory on this field earlier this month against Miami. The backs and receivers around Gradkowski. Trinity Dawson steps in for Scooter McDougal, who's out with a knee injury. He'll be running back by committee. Moore, an All-American candidate at wide receiver. Kaiser, 3 times first team All Mid-American Conference, the star of that line, and it's a good group with a couple of redshirt freshmen, Perkins and Greco, on the right side. There's Kaiser. All conference all 4 years. First Rocket to do that. He was second team All MAC as a freshman. Trinity Dawson all the way across the 40-yard line out to the 42. No problems in the absence of McDougal so far tonight.
Watch the over pursuit of Alfred Fincher, an excellent linebacker, but he over pursues the lane. Guard goes in, gets him, and there's your hole up the middle. Lane assignment, very responsible. Fincher, a very aggressive guy, and Sean, you see him wearing number 4 out there.
We'll tell you more about that story. Fincher, ordinarily number 9, wearing jersey number 4 tonight. Dawson was their leading rusher last year. He's been bothered by injuries this season. He told us yesterday, I think I would have been the featured back this year had I not been injured. So they don't have much drop-off, if any, without McDougal in there. Gradkowski was looking for Josh Powell, and the pass incomplete. The Connecticut defense bolstered by the return of Tyler King, who broke a leg in the 5th game of the year, played the first 5. They were much different defense, much better with him. Hargrave, Fincher, and Lloyd, the strength of the defense. Fincher, the leading tackler. And Perkins will run with Lance Moore all night long. Estep, Fletcher, and Cole for the secondary. They went from 12th in the nation after 5 games in total defense to 33rd at the end of the year without King. He's back tonight. Gradkowski, a wobbly ball. That is clearly evidence of the broken bone in his hand bothering him. And Craig, we watched him warm up. We didn't see him throw a ball, even attempt to throw a ball more than 10 yards downfield.
Well, watch his hand as he throws the ball and goes forward. Is he following through with his hand? You see how his hand kind of comes forward just a little bit, but the motion is to the outside. You know, you see the quarterbacks let the ball kind of roll off those fingertips, and he's almost afraid, it looks like, to let that hand go through with its regular motion.
He broke the hand in the second quarter of the MAC championship game against Miami. Came back in the second half and was brilliant. Wide receiver screen, and Connecticut is there. Pass completed to Steve Odom, but James Hargrave, the outside linebacker, there to make the tackle. And it'll be 4th down and 8.
I think what you're going to see here is a smart Connecticut defense figure out, because they too as a coaching staff watched in the pregame warm-ups to find out how Grabkowski was throwing the ball, right? They're going to say, hey, this is a short field. We don't need to worry about deep. It's going to be a much shorter field we have to defend.
Brett Kern, the punter, the true freshman, and not a good boot off the side of his foot. No chance for fellow true freshman Larry Taylor to run it back. Finally, they stop walking along the far sideline. Stop at the 33-yard line, a 23-yard punt.
ESPN's Capital One Bowl Week, an American holiday tradition.
Randy Edsall, the 46-year-old head coach of the University of Connecticut, and his Huskies off to a 3-0 lead. 35-yard field goal by Newsy after a 35-yard return to the opening kickoff by Larry Taylor. Had them start their first possession at the 42. This possession starts at the 33. Karan Henry with the catch of a very short pass from Orlovsky. Good for a 3-yard gain. Keon Jackson made the tackle.
Well, obviously Toledo's defense, they didn't feel like that Connecticut came up with a reception. At least that was the case they pled.
And the Big 12 officiating crew is not in agreement. Twin receivers to the right. And a handoff to Brockington. Running right. We're next to nothing. Keon Jackson already with 5 tackles. Dan Orlovsky, 4-year starter at quarterback for the University of Connecticut. He really was the headline recruit who helped put this program on the map. Player of the year in the state of Connecticut from Shelton, Connecticut. Turned down offers from powers like Michigan State and Purdue to stay in state and help make the transition of this program from 1AA to Division 1A. His dad was among those who told him he was crazy. Connecticut football was not big in the state at the time. His pass is behind his intended receiver, Matt Kataya. It'll be 4th down and a punt. So nothing like the first possession for Connecticut when Orlovsky moved them quickly down the field.
Sean, they really, Karan Henry as their receiver, the go-to guy, and they doubled him up on the right side, which opened up Kataya on the other side. They've got to make that connection when they get the single coverage, especially coming back to the middle of the field.
Shane Hussar, a true freshman punter. He's been bothered a lot of the year by a hamstring injury. In fact, did not punt in their regular season finale against Rutgers. He handled a high snap, but that's a shank out of bounds near the 40-yard line. They'll spot it at the 39. Just a 25-yard punt. Grabkowski back on offense after this. Just a couple of blocks from Ford Field in downtown Detroit. Campus Marston outdoor public skating. Those folks braving a chilly night. The temperature outside is in the mid-20s. Been a cold and snowy week here in Detroit as these two teams have enjoyed their bowl festivities. Tom Amstutz has Toledo back in this game for the 3rd time in 4 years. It's only an hour drive from their campus in Toledo, Ohio, up here to Detroit. We played here earlier this month and beat Miami of Ohio in the MAC championship game on December 2nd. Trinity Dawson, the ball carrier, and Maurice Lloyd, the senior linebacker, 2nd team all Big East this year with 99 tackles, 4th in the Big East in tackles. He made the play. Now 100 tackles for the year, and that's 3 years in a row with 100 or more. He led them last year with 122 and then 113 2 seasons ago.
The linebacker crew, they have 3 that can play the game. They play extremely well. With Tyler King back in the lineup after that broken leg, this is a big boost for the front 4 of them.
The direct snap goes to the running back, Dawson. And he powers ahead to the 44-yard line. Gradkowski lined up as a receiver on that play. We mentioned they like to run a lot of what others would consider trick plays, but they said it's just a part of their package.
Well, you know, one thing that's for certain in this ball game, Toledo, if Gradkowski can't get it going with his hand, if he takes him a while to get it opened up and throwing, they'll have to be creative. And this is a very creative offense.
Gradkowski back in the shotgun now on 3rd down and 5, and he wants a timeout with the play clock running out. 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Connecticut leads 3-0. Of course, the health of Gradkowski, the big story here tonight. And with more on that, we're pleased to welcome in Dave Ryan.
All right, Sean, thanks a lot. Before the game, we did ask Bruce Gradkowski how that hand felt. He said there is some discomfort. Remember, he only practiced throwing full speed about a week ago. His last workout came Christmas Day, and those were reduced reps. He never went all the way through a full practice. He said, look, I've got to suck it up. This is the last game of the year. This is a bowl game. My teammates need me. But, guys, I think that's a pretty clear admission that he's in a considerable amount of pain and having trouble. The warm-up balls we saw him throw before the game were pretty wobbly. The same here in the contest so far tonight, Sean.
You know, we had a game the other night where Gino Gaduli, and we saw him struggle there for about the first quarter or so, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, in a very cold environment, Gino got it going, and he picked it up and completed like 10 passes in a row. And so maybe it's just a matter of time before he mentally has confidence in that hand to let it go.
Spent a lot of time the last few weeks squeezing a Nerf ball just to build back some strength in that hand. Only threw the ball, a real football, the last few days, as Dave Ryan told you. At Capital One Bowl week, the Motor City Bowl, they expect a record crowd of nearly 60,000 inside Ford Field. We'll watch the first ever meeting between Toledo and Connecticut. Total yardage just about even. UConn has a 3-0 lead on a 35-yard field goal. Sean McDonough, Craig James, Dave Ryan. Gradkowski running out of time, and he is dumped. It'll not be a sack, as it was a 1-yard gain on the play. Alfred Fincher ran him down.
And really who he was looking for, his go-to guy, all-time leading receiver in the history of the school, is over on the left side, Lance Moore. Number 1, you see Lance coming as he goes to the middle, gets knocked down in the confusion with the linebacker. So his crossing route, who he probably was going to, got knocked to the ground.
Here's the freshman Kern, and more trickeration on the punt, and another problem for Toledo. Tyler King falls on the loose football for Connecticut.
We've all heard throughout the week that Coach Amstutz would do some different things and never know what was going to happen on 4th down, and they tried to run the option to the left side, and big Patrick Body at safety that's got a big body and can run.
They were one of the forerunners of that spread punt. That's become in vogue lately. They've done it for a while under Coach Amstutz. Body has great speed, but he lost the football. King fell on it. Connecticut wants him to pay immediately, and the pass incomplete. Deep ball thrown toward Karan Henry, but he got tangled up in the secondary.
He just quit running. I mean, he's got his one-on-one. Henry is a guy that can run with plenty of speed, and Jackson's back there with him foot for foot, but Henry just quit running, didn't look up and find it. There is a difference
want to
too.
know why as he comes off.
This roof, I've played in several domes, and there is a difference. Ball, you lose it sometimes as it gets up in the air. Maybe just didn't see it coming to him.
Henry was the quarterback in Orlovsky's freshman year. When he got injured, Orlovsky took over midway through and never gave the job back. Henry shifted over to wide receiver. It's worked out well for both. Timeout, Connecticut. The Huskies lead 3-0. This building will host the Super Bowl in 2006. The Final Four inside Ford Field in 2009. And this Motor City Bowl has really picked up steam the last couple of years since it moved to downtown Detroit from the Pontiac Silverdome. On 2nd and 10, Cornell Brockington. Stop for no gain. Keon Jackson looks like he's in on every tackle so far tonight for the Rockets.
You know why? It's because both safeties, that's like a run blitz that they're coming with there. Both safeties creeping up in the box late, timing it right before the snap count and coming in that guard tackle box. And if they're going to do that, that's kind of rolling the dice here. They better get to the quarterback because Orlovsky will pull it up on play action and hurt you.
This is a defense that got off to a dreadful start this season. They gave up 63 points in each of their first 2 games at Minnesota and at Kansas. With a very young group, they got better as the year went along. Orlovsky throws underneath. Henry will not get the first down. Knocked out at the 32-yard line by Anthony Jordan, the junior from Whitehall, Ohio, and the leader of this Toledo defense. A 4-yard gain.
Man, here's a holiday kiss for you. Brockington in the backfield. You see him back here. Watch how he picks up the linebacker. Oh, did you see that head go back? I mean, that'll make you go in the locker room and get you a neck roll.
And they're going to go for it on 4th down and 6, leading 3-0. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter from the 32-yard line of Toledo. They're 10 out of 18 this year on 4th down. Orlovsky with pressure off the corner. He got away from it. He has a lot of running room, but he throws toward the end zone. It is caught, but there is a flag down. Caught by Jason Williams, but from our vantage point, it looked like he might have pushed off. It was an acrobatic catch, but it looked like Williams shoved the defender, Antonio Malone, to get some room.
Pass interference on the defense, number 30. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
Boy, so much for that theory. But boy, from here, it looked like he pushed off. It's a touchdown pass, 83rd of his career for Orlovsky, adding to his UConn record, 32-yarder. And Mad Newsy for the extra point. He's 34 out of 38 this year. It's up and good. 4th touchdown reception of the season for Jason Williams. A terrific catch on a 32-yard strike thrown by Orlovsky. First bowl touchdown ever for the University of Connecticut, scored by Jason Williams, the junior from McKeesport, Pennsylvania, one of 16 Pennsylvanians on this Connecticut team.
Well, you see Stephen Morrison, the linebacker, 47. When he loses contain, that allowed the touchdown to happen. It's just incidental contact. Sean, you and I were looking in the commercial break trying to find some pushing, but they're both kind of looks like they're pushing on each other.
I think if anybody was worthy of the flag, though, it was Williams more than it was Malone. But I think you're right. The better play was just not to throw the flag at all. That mutual hand fighting. So Toledo down by 10. 11 times in 4 years under Tom Amstutz, they've come from 10 points or more down to win. They've won each of the last 3 games despite trailing at the half in all 3. So they're not fazed by this predicament. Moore runs it out to the 28-yard line, and let's check in with Reese Davis.
Sean, the MPC Computers Bowl between Fresno State and Virginia went to overtime. Cavs kicked a field goal. First play of OT for the Dogs. Steven Spock live long and prosper as Paul Penninger finds him for the touchdown. Or did he, Trev?
No, he's down right there. So be down at the 1-yard line. Where are the officials? We need instant replay in every conference now, Reese.
It would have been 1st and goal, but Fresno gets the win, Sean.
And a terrific win, an upset win for Coach Pat Hill and the Bulldogs.
Oh, I know, Trev. That's got to hurt Trev Alberts big time. He was talking smack in pregame about how the old ACC was going to put it on him.
Radkowski throws to the far side. Stephen Odom could not break the tackle of Ernest Cole. Here's Dave Ryan.
Sean, what an incredible reaction of excitement for the UConn players, and Jason Williams, after making the touchdown catch, as you said, the first ever UConn Bowl touchdown in school history, is as if they had won the national championship. Players whooping it up, hooping and hollering, jumping down here. Guys, at least the first 10 minutes of this game, looking at the players' reaction and their emotions down here, it looks like UConn's got a big edge, much more intense, at least on the field level.
I think
Williams a great deep threat all season long. He had an 80-yard touchdown reception against Temple and a 90-yarder, excuse me, an 80-yarder against Murray State and a 90-yarder against Temple.
Just maybe some excitement. You know, the excitement of Connecticut being in their first bowl game and the newness of it. It's not a new situation for Toledo. They've been here. So you've got Connecticut and guys like Jason Williams. This means a lot to them.
He had a big drop against Pittsburgh. Of course, they went on to win that game. Their biggest win of the year. Their only win against the team with a winning record this year. And a third down upcoming for the Rockets after Parmalee handled the ball on the last play for Toledo. Trinity Dawson, the lone back in now. Two tight ends on the field for Toledo. They use the tight ends a lot. Radkowski, a long count, and he took too much time.
Ball foul. Delay of game on the offense. Penalty is 5 yards. It's still third down.
Cooper Castleberry, the referee tonight, leading a Big 12 officiating crew. Well, he mentioned the comebacks. 11 of them went down by 10 points or more in 4 seasons under Tom Amstutz. His record is 36-14. 2 MAC titles, 3 bowl games. Their only loss at home was a couple of years ago to Miami of Ohio when Ben Roethlisberger was a sophomore. 4 wide receivers on third down. Gradkowski almost intercepted. He was looking for Kenny Higgins. Dante Moore was close to it in coverage for Connecticut.
Well, I think there's a lot going on with Gradkowski right now. Mentally, physically, he's not the same quarterback. You know, he gets the delay of the game. You just see the step up in the throw. You look at the ball, there's really not a lot of spiral to it. It's not coming off the tip of his fingers. And before the game, Tom Amstutz kind of laid it off. Maybe he's playing possum with him. I don't think this is possum. I think it's real.
Brett Kern, a line drive punt. Larry Taylor made the first man miss. Taylor across the 50. And he is still in bounds. No whistles. Touchdown, Connecticut. Yards on the return for the true freshman from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Larry Taylor. After a 40-yard line drive punt that was just right to be run back. Last year, Connecticut was 116th in the nation out of 117 teams in punt returns. This year, they moved up to 27th in the country thanks to Taylor, who averaged better than 12 yards per return, second in the Big East.
Shawnee's a tailback, and he's only a freshman, but this has been a great way for him to contribute to this football team on special teams. You see some great blocks by just not even throwing it, and then 42 does an excellent job, Matt Lawrence, of walling off. Now, the kicker just doesn't give it all out, and Taylor uses the balance, stays in bounds, and goes the distance. Right now, you're seeing, like Dave Ryan said, how excited they were on the bench. Everything's kind of like a newness, a greatness to it. Taylor with his vision, his determination. Connecticut's playing ball, Toledo's not. And a lot of that goes, Sean, to Gradkowski. He's not the same player right now.
And he was clearly in bounds the entire way, at least from those two looks at it. And the officials had perfect position. But what great balance to be able to take a shove like that right on the line and not go out of bounds. First punt return for a touchdown of his career. And the longest punt return of his career as well. He has returned a kickoff for a touchdown. That was an opening kickoff of the game against Temple. The first opening kickoff touchdown return in the history of the University of Connecticut, as far as all of their research revealed. All UConn here in the first quarter. 2.5 minutes to go. There's Lance Moore for Toledo. Started near the 5, giving ground, and now some running room along the near side. Great return by the All-MAC player Lance Moore. 30-yard return for the senior from Westerville, Ohio, just outside Columbus.
Well, there would be a decleater on this one coming up for you, Shine, otherwise known as a slobber knocker to some folks. Oh, what a block. That's one of those that when you're in pursuit and everything's broken out, it's jailbreak time. You just got to make sure that you know what you're doing out there. Stephen Morrison, 47, he came back and gave him a kiss.
Toledo needs something. Turn the momentum in this game. Maybe that'll be it. Trinity Dawson, the junior from Tulsa, Oklahoma, out to the 41-yard line. Tuesday night, Mike Hass and the Oregon State Beavers take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, led by quarterback Brady Quinn. Quinn has passed for more than 2,300 yards this season and 15 touchdowns. Darius Walker, an emerging threat at running back for the Irish. That's the Insight Bowl at 9:45 Eastern on ESPN, all a part of Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and ESPN2. Jalen Parmalee is the running back. He gets the handoff, and he is stuffed for no gain. Driven back from the 41-yard line. Parmalee, a part of that running back by committee. Jason Ward and Alfred Fincher in on the stop.
Look how tight they are, Sean. I mean, right now, Connecticut, they're not respecting at all the potential of Gradkowski's arm. And they're up tight, and they're going to stop the run. They're going to dare Gradkowski to throw the ball downfield. He's going to have to come out of this.
UConn fans might be wondering why Fincher, who's worn number 9 throughout his career, is wearing number 4. And we'll tell you that story after this third down play. 3rd down and 5. With a minute to go in the quarter. There's Fincher on a blitz. Gradkowski throws it up for grabs, and it's incomplete. Looking for Lance Moore. There's a flag down. Justin Perkins was in coverage. He's their best cover corner against Toledo's best receiver. And Perkins is going to be called for pass interference.
Alfred Fincher, number 4, he gets in the backfield, puts a little pressure, but you see Perkins really grab underneath the arm, the left arm, to keep Moore from coming back. That's another poorly thrown football.
That was a duck, underthrown, but it worked out well for Toledo.
Pass interference on number 2 of the defense. The penalty is 15 yards from the previous spot and an automatic first down.
We mentioned Fincher changing numbers tonight. That is a tribute to the Reen family of Norwood, Massachusetts, his hometown. Dan Reen, one of Fincher's best friends growing up. Alfred considered him a brother. They played football together at Norwood High School. He was killed in an automobile accident a little over a year ago. Reen family helped raise Alfred Fincher, and as a tribute to Dan Reen, who wore number 4 in high school, Fincher asked for permission and received it to wear the number 4 in memory of his friend Dan Reen, and his way of letting the Reen family know that Dan is still very much in his heart and mind as he plays in the biggest game of his career. With more on that, here's Dave Ryan.
All right, Sean, Fincher did wear a standard number 9 in warm-ups. He unveiled the jersey change when, as a captain, he spoke to the team in the pregame locker room. And I talked with head coach Randy Angelo, who said it was a very emotional moment to see Alfred Fincher talk about the person he lived with and pretty much considered a brother.
Trinity Dawson carries for a first down for Toledo. The Rockets were their best drive of the night. An 11-yard gain. Alfred Fincher wearing that new number 4, and Maurice Lloyd in on the stop. Well, 7 carries for 48 yards for Dawson.
Toledo finally getting a little bit of the deal going here, right? You know, this offense needed that pass interference call leading them into this quarter break.
That is the end of the first quarter. That is the end of the first quarter. A quarter dominated by Connecticut. And special teams, the big story in the first quarter here tonight. Huskies lead 17-0. We'll return to the 8th annual Motor City Bowl from downtown Detroit in just a moment.
Everyone at Ford is proud once again to be associated with the Motor City Bowl. And here in Detroit, we're proud to be associated with the 2006 Super Bowl to be held at Ford Field. On behalf of Ford and all our dealers, enjoy the game.
And we're inside Ford Field. All 3 of the big 3 automakers here in Detroit involved in the sponsorship of this game. It really has some momentum. Crowds growing each year. Last year, 51,000 on hand to watch Bowling Green and Northwestern. They expect more than that here tonight. Toledo on the move, down 17-0. A screen to Moore, and he is thrown down. Maurice Lloyd right there to swing Lance Moore down to the ground.
You know, we all talk about Alfred Fincher, and he is a heck of a football player. One of the better ones that you and I have covered this year. But Lloyd, number 11, the vision and knowing what's going on, he sees the screen and goes right to the receiver. Moore makes the play before Moore ever has a chance to get up the field. And then Tyler King, his own teammate, smokes Lloyd.
They tell us King, watching the Rutgers game on the sideline without a helmet on, was headbutting teammates as they came off the field who had helmets on. On the draw, Trinity Dawson. Down to the 20, maybe even the 19-yard line. They will give him the 19, about a yard shy of the first down. A 14-yard gain for Dawson, who was their leading rusher last year when he rushed for 999 yards.
You know what? And Dawson's showing you some patience. He didn't just run up in there with his head down and his eyes closed. And when you have linebackers that are blitzing gaps like that, if you'll be patient as a runner, and if your men up front will get a hat on everybody, you're going to hit them for a big play.
Dawson out, and Jalen Parmalee, the lone back, extra tight ends. On the field, Gradkowski stumbled as he handed it off, but Parmalee gets the first down. Down to the 15-yard line. Tackled by Keenan Harriet, a backup linebacker. Parmalee's a freshman from Midland, Michigan. True freshman. He appeared in 8 games this year, rushed for 179 yards. And a big family, one of 10 children, 7 brothers and 2 sisters. Played at Dow High School here in Michigan last year, rushed for more than 1,500 yards. 3 tight ends in the game now. Play action pass for Gradkowski to the end zone. It is incomplete. Through the hands of Perkins, and it looked like it clanged off the pads of Lance Moore. Moore might have been distracted thinking that Perkins was going to pick that off. It looked like it went right through Perkins' hands and seemed to startle Moore after it did.
Yeah, and it probably surprised Perkins pretty much when he's got the ball coming his direction. Perkins had him covered up. The tight end on the drag is the player that should have received the football. Middle of your field right there. Go with him. Don't go to the guy that's covered up. Take what the defense gives you. Tight end coming across. Hopkins was there.
Perkins ordinarily will catch that. He has 11 career interceptions. Tough pass, and the completion to Higgins. That was a lateral. The good thing he caught it, or it would have been a fumble. And Ernest Cole came flying up from the secondary to drop that play for a loss back to the 20-yard line.
The more times that they throw the football, the better chance they're going to have of Gradkowski getting into it. But his ball, you still see it fluttering. It's a flutter ball. And maybe take the, if you're going to play the game, this might be one of those deals where you take the tape off of it. Tape's not really doing you anything. It's a psychological deal.
Broke his hand against Miami in the second quarter. The bones were rubbing together. He said he heard them popping. They taped it up at the half, and he threw the ball very well in the second half. Chris Holmes, the tight end, on 3rd down and 14, very close to a first down at the 5-yard line. And they might have to measure this one. Looks like he has the first down inside the 5. There's an injured player on the play.
A little bit of a delay there that allowed that Holmes to get open. The linebacker was coming across and just thought he was staying in. There's another flutter ball, but if you're going to flutter it, I guess you have to flutter it close, right?
The good thing about the spread offense, most of the passes are short. He's not throwing deep balls all night long generally.
Yeah.
Holmes, second team All-MAC tight end this year, had 32 catches in the regular season. There's an injured Husky. It's Maurice Lloyd. It looks like he's all right as he sits up. .397 career tackles for Lloyd, number 3 all-time at the University of Connecticut. Toledo dealing not only with the injury to Gradkowski, but also to Scooter McDougal, their freshman running back, who was a key in their championship game win over Miami of Ohio. Injured his knee, his ACL, late in that game after 167 yards rushing, his 3rd straight game with 100 yards or more rushing. But they have other capable backups, as we're seeing tonight. First and goal from the 4. Toledo trying to get on the board early in the second quarter. Dawson with a hole there, but it closed up quickly, and he powers down near the goal line. Danny Lansana, who came in for Maurice Lloyd, made the tackle.
They've said they're going with running back by committee, but I got to tell you that as well as Dawson started out here, I would stick with him. I'd lather him up. I'd let him go. He's showing good vision, good patience, good power. I'd leave Dawson in there the bulk of the game.
He has 9 carries for 65 yards so far. Radkowski keeps it and did not appear to get in. Well, that's an interesting call. He's not a big guy, and he's playing with a broken hand. They have some powerful backs. We just saw a pretty strong run by Dawson. Seems a little strange you'd want your quarterback with the broken hand attempting that.
And especially when you've got Dawson in the backfield who's really playing well. And I'd go over that left tackle side. Nick Kaiser, their left tackle, is a manster over there. I mean, he's a great story. That left tackle, I'd be right up beside his old cheek.
3 tight ends. Maurice Lloyd back in the game for Connecticut. Radkowski again. No signal yet. Now they say touchdown, Toledo. A 1-yard run. 9th rushing touchdown of the season for Gradkowski. He can run. He runs about a 4.5 Didn't need all that speed there. Just a little surge on the second effort. They get the Rockets on the board. And now Jason Robbins, the junior from Sylvania, Ohio, to try the extra point. He's made 54 out of 55 this year. Well, that's more like it. The Rockets, one of the best offensive teams in the country, found a groove here in Motown on that drive. 13 plays, 63 yards. It took 6 minutes and 27 seconds and results in a touchdown by Gradkowski. Hope you're enjoying your holiday season. Sean McDonough with Craig James and Dave Ryan. That would have looked nice under the tree.
Dang right it would. If I'm looking for a mid-year 50 model Ford pickup truck, really, I'd love to have one. And that's my.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, I don't know. You're a nice friend who's very wealthy, and I thought,
Again, I ask, why are you looking at me? That did not add up. The nice part I appreciate. I'm not sure about the wealthy part. Very nice drive for Toledo. And Jason Robbins will kick off. And Larry Taylor has a punt return for a touchdown already. And has brought a kickoff back for a touchdown this year. They can't get him down. Wow. He escapes yet again. And finally shoved out inside the 45-yard line. 54-yard return. Keon Jackson saved another special teams touchdown by Connecticut.
And you know what? I mean, there's a missed tackle by number 47, Stephen Morrison, that he just didn't bring him to the ground. And that's because Taylor keeps his legs moving. This guy is where we are in the Motor City, right? There's some song just skipping me here, but it's about motion and. See, now I thought you were a Motown hits guy. You did, backfield in motion, baby.
No, please stop. We're begging you to stop.
Oh man! But you know what? There've been a lot of careers launched here, a lot failed, and I could just fall in the failed category.
Yeah, it's hopefully the end of your singing career. Ball marked at the 41-yard line. Taylor's been the star of the night, and there's a good run by Brockington as he goes down to the 33-yard line. A gain of 8 for the Big East leading rusher this year, Cornell Brockington. His cousin John was a standout at Ohio State, played on a couple of national championship teams, and had a nice career in the NFL, mostly with the Green Bay Packers.
We saw him early in the season, and from that point we said, hey, this guy can play the game. You know, it's not that we're geniuses, but we just could see that he had the vision and that burst.
It seemed like every time he started, he rushed for 100 yards. He had 6 100-yard rushing games, a low throw and a good catch by Karan Henry. There is a flag down.
Flag on the play.
Illegal motion on number 1 of the offense. He never got set. Penalty is 5 yards and replay second down.
Dave Ryan has more on Gradkowski.
Yeah, Sean, the trainers for Toledo have taken off that makeshift pad and tape job that was on Bruce Gradkowski's right throwing hand. I looked at it a moment ago. I said, how does that hand feel? He kind of shook his head, so he's going to try without the tape. And really all we've seen from him on those short crossing routes, the slant screen passes, even those have been fluttering balls with the tape. We'll see if this helps.
I followed your advice, Craig. Not sure it's because he heard you, but nonetheless, doing what you had advised him to do. Brockington carries back to the 33-yard line. There have been some wobbly passes. We said, though, Craig, the good news is it's an offense predicated mostly on short passes.
Yeah, but his accuracy along with the flutter is no good. And the reason I say take the tape off, realistically, the tape does you no good. And he's having no success. He knows it. He feels it. And so get on the sidelines, get rid of the tape, get your throwing motion back, and just go for it. Let it go. Let the adrenaline take over.
Orlovsky on 3rd and short, throws for a first down. Jason Williams, ordinarily a deep threat, averages 15 yards per reception. Gets them 4 for a first down there.
UConn first down.
And what you have right now is you've got a quarterback, though, mentally, you know, on the sidelines. If he throws over and he gets a little bit going, he's got to just let it go. He's got to say, okay, look, if I'm going to play the game, then I got to go out there and I just got to let the hand go.
From the 29, 1st and 10 for Connecticut. Brockington, nice cut. And he's down inside the 24-yard line. Tackled by Patrick Body, the free safety, and then some tempers flaring. Good block from Grant Preston opened up that hole for Brockington.
A lot of patience here from Brockington to stay wide to the right. You're going to see pressure come from the inside. The nose tackle, the tackle beats the center. See the tackle pushing from the inside? So Brockington had to stay a little bit wide and away from that nose guard who'd pushed the center back into the backfield, and then he had the burst up the field.
Second and 5. Williams powers down near another first down. Looks like he has it inside the 19-yard line. Gain of 5. 1st and 10. Connecticut trying to answer the Toledo touchdown with one of their own.
There's no established pattern right now that Connecticut's offense has gone with. A very nice job of play calling here. You know, 3rd and 2 and they're throwing the football. You don't know if they're running it and throwing it. And right now, Toledo's defense is just off balance.
Maurice Wilson is the offensive coordinator for Connecticut, one of the best in the country. Throw to the far side, caught by Brandon McLean. They try to stretch the field vertically and horizontally, a lot of different formations. Maurice Wilson does an excellent job. As a matter of fact, he is one of the 6 finalists for the Frank Broyles Award, which goes to the top assistant coach in the country. That is a very prestigious award. It's a blue ribbon committee of legendary coaches like Bo Schembechler and Vince Dooley and Dick McPherson, for whom Randy Edsel coached at Syracuse, who select the winner of the Broyles Award. David Cutcliffe, Mark Mangino, Ralph Friedgen, all successful head coaches, among those who won it as assistants. Play doomed from the start, intended for Henry. And here's a look at the finalists for the Broyles Award this season.
And you know what? Randy Edsel has the ability now to go out and to sell Maurice Wilson, and the fact that he has an offensive coordinator that's going to help the next Dan Orlovsky along, the next Cornell Brockington. They have building blocks, not just of an Orlovsky, but I think here's Norris right here in the middle. And man, a nice guy, a very good coach, and being recognized now by the Frank Broyles Award.
Orlovsky, lots of time, throws, end zone, touchdown, Connecticut. Ryan Sparks, the former walk-on, put on scholarship this year as a senior. And as Norris Wilson said, he finds a way to contribute. And he has tonight with his third touchdown reception of the season. He's from Plainville, Connecticut. Started out at Worcester Polytech in Massachusetts, a Division III school. Broke his wrist before he ever played a game. Decided, I want to try to play big-time football. Walked on at UConn. Has been a bit part until this year when he has been a major factor. 23rd touchdown throw of the year for Orlovsky. And Connecticut is back up by 17.
And now Dan Orlovsky gets the credit, but watch Grant Preston, the right tackle, the right guard, Craig Berry. Watch the performance they give, the time they allow Orlovsky and Sparks to get down the field. That's great pass protection. And Sean, you had the nugget earlier about how the number of starts that that offensive line had.
169 combined in their careers. Grant Preston, a fixture at right tackle for them. He has started 35 games in his career,
To receive for Toledo.
including every game this year. He's been playing with a shoulder injury all year. Again, it was a good kickoff return by Larry Taylor that set up the short scoring drive. And the kickoff down to Kenny Higgins, a speedster, but he couldn't find any running room. Stacked up at the 22, a 15-yard return. Bruce Gradkowski with the broken hand, 5 out of 9 for just 27 yards.
But it's that short field that he's established, because Connecticut does not have any respect at all for Gradkowski to throw the ball deep down the field. Now we'll find out with the tape being removed from his right hand. He's thrown some on the sideline. We'll find out whether or not he just lets it go now and be successful in throwing the ball with a spiral.
He's taken almost every snap the last 2 years at quarterback. They have a freshman, Marcus Council, who's the backup. Kennedy Dawson stuffed for a loss.
Trinity Dawson.
Don Fletcher, the safety, up with James Hargrave. To drop that play back at the 19-yard line, a loss of 3.
It's been well documented that trying to defend this Toledo offense, the spread out offense of Toledo, is difficult. It's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. Well, right now that spread's really been bunched up. It's bunched up because they're not throwing the ball down the field.
It's the Toledo offense that's 7th in the nation, 474 yards per game. 7th in the nation in passing yardage as well at 306 per game. There's the tight end Holmes for a first down out to the 34-yard line.
To number 81, Chris Holmes. Stopped by 41.
15-yard gain on the completion of the senior from Chicago, Holmes. He's out of Whitney Young High School in the Windy City.
He looks a little more authoritative when he throws the ball. There's a little bit more of a spiral to it. Get the velocity going, cut it loose, let the ball go, and maybe that's going to get him going. We saw the last quarterback that struggled with a broken hand come through late in the game. Find out if Gradkowski can make the adjustment.
Hands it off again to Dawson. And he lunges forward to the 37 for a gain of 3. Hargrave the tackle. James Hargrave, the only returning linebacker next year. He's a junior from Pleasantville, New Jersey. And an injured player. It's the center, David Odenthal, the senior from Germany. Second year as their starting center. One of the best students on their team. He's already graduated with a degree in international business, and he'll have his master's by the end of this year. Odenthal has been a key on their offensive line.
It looks like maybe that the center gets rolled up from behind. You'll see him right here in the middle of the field, blocking away. Legs are moving, feet are moving, feet are moving.
Boy.
He just gets rolled up from behind.
He is, in the words of Rob Spence, the coordinator, the glue of that offensive line, makes all the calls on the line of scrimmage. Tom Amstutz, understandably concerned, will return to Detroit right after this. Sean McDonough, Craig James, Dave Ryan back in Detroit. The Motor City Bowl. Connecticut leads by 17. Toledo with the ball, 2nd and 7. The center Odenthal on the sideline. They helped him off. Hassan Adebison has come in to take his place. Number 70. He's a sophomore from Shaker Heights, Ohio. Armley and Dawson, 2 backs in the game now. Kwiatkowski under pressure and sacked. Tyler King returning after missing their last 6 games with a fractured fibula in his right leg, a gruesome injury suffered against Pittsburgh in the last moments of that big win.
You know what? And Tyler King, he's the guy that paints the face up. He's an inspirational guy. And for him to be able to come back and to make a sack, have a sack in this, just to be able to play in this season. We were in the game that did the game that he came out when he broke his leg. And boy, the air just went out of that defense. They had to recover.
They were nowhere near the same defense. He's really the one guy up front who can beat his man one-on-one consistently. He was leading the Big East in tackles for a loss and total tackles by a defensive lineman at the time of his injury. He had 8.5 tackles for a loss in their first 5 games. Wow. Kenny Higgins just a little bit anxious to streak up the field there.
Hey, we're close to the Canadian border, so what the heck? Go do a little Canadian football
Prior to
stuff.
the snap, a false start on number 4 of the offense. Penalty is 5 yards. Still 3rd down.
Well, we're just across the Detroit River from Windsor, Ontario. The numbers do not lie. That's what a difference King made. With him, 268 yards per game allowed. They were 12th at that time in the nation in total defense. Then it went to 384 yards per game without him. 3rd down, 15. They hand it off to Dawson. He stopped at the 39. Ordinarily, you would say definite punt situation, but Toledo goes for it on 4th down with great regularity. Doesn't look like Tom Amstutz will try that here as Brett Kern, the punter, has come on. And Larry Taylor has been the story of the night. Returned the opening kickoff 35 yards to set up a field goal. Returned a punt for a touchdown, 68 yards. And then the last kickoff, he returned 54 yards to set up a Connecticut touchdown. No chance to catch that one on the fly. It took a bad bounce for Toledo. And his touchdown at the 26-yard line, a 36-yard punt. Great night for the true freshman Taylor.
And some of it has to do with his ability and his aggressiveness and his determination to not go down. But some of it, Sean, and certainly Amstutz would agree, is poor tackling on the part of his special teams. Taylor's the former or the current tailback that's helping in his role right now on this football team. But man, look at that determination. Poor tackling, determination equals big plays.
First and 10, Connecticut. They have controlled this first half, thanks largely to Taylor. Deion Anderson ahead for 2, and here's Dave Ryan.
Sean, what a game for Larry Taylor. He's listed at 5'6", about 160 pounds. He reported to his first UConn preseason camp in August as one of the smallest running backs in the Big East, maybe in the nation. Coming out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, he had some other interest from 1A schools, but scholarship offers were scarce thanks to his size. How about Randy Edsall? He knows small backs. Running back Terry Colley, 5'7", 175 pounds, very effective. He hurt his knee, a return man from last year. Taylor had the speed and moves, guys. He's got a 4.37 40, and Edsall said, I'll give you a scholarship right on the spot, Larry.
Randy Edsall was at Syracuse, and he had a pretty good small back by the name of Joe Morris. Wound up as the school's all-time leading rusher. Orlovsky pressured, and the ball flooded out of bounds on the far sideline. What a great career it has been for Orlovsky, because he elected to come to Connecticut. They were able to have some credibility in recruiting and recruit other top players. Has just about every passing record. He's 7th among active quarterbacks now with those 10,553 yards. And 3rd in touchdown passes behind only Timmy Chang and Andrew Walton. From Hawaii and Arizona State, respectively. There's Bellamy in the ball game. He did not get the handoff. Instead, it's the end around to Jason Williams. A track athlete. He's been on the track team in past years at Connecticut. He goes for 14 for a first down to the 44.
Watch the center, number 58. Center snaps the ball, 58. You see him coming around. Billy Irwin was really the guy down the field with a block that allowed the reverse to take place. I mean, Jason Williams gets the big play, but it's because the center gets down the field, throws that big body on the carpet, and you couldn't get the pursuit up to make the play.
He's one of those veterans, a senior from Fairfax, Virginia. Irwin starting his 36th straight game at center tonight for the Huskies. Similar looking play. They don't hand it on the end around. Instead, it's a deep pass, and Karan Henry couldn't catch it. Looked like he was trying to bat it down with excellent position. He had position on the defender, Nigel Morris, but Henry looked like the DB there when he slapped at it.
Yeah, and you know what? We've watched a number of games when Orlovsky throws the football. I think he'll learn eventually to take a little of the air off of it and to get the ball a little bit more to him immediately. You see the closing speed of the defensive back come up and get up right in the hip pocket of Henry. Those moon balls allowed Nigel Morris to get right in his back pocket.
There must be some pretty good quarterbacks in both of these leagues, the Big East and the MAC. Here's Chris Bellamy out to the 50-yard line. Because Orlovsky and Gradkowski have been terrific all season long, and neither one of them was on their all-conference team. First, second, or third team in the Big East. Rasheed Marshall was the player of the year. Tyler Palko of Pitt and Walter Washington of Temple. So Orlovsky threw for 3,115 yards on the leading offensive team in the conference. Not in the top three, even though he's clearly the best NFL prospect in the group. And Gradkowski was not all-conference in the MAC. I'll show you the three picked ahead of him in a moment. All Gradkowski did was throw for 71% this year, second best in the country. Matt Kataya for the first down. On third and medium range, they get to the 44 of Toledo. And a first down and a gain of 6. Here's a man who's always all-conference at ESPN, Reese Davis.
Oh, yes, I'll send that check soon, Sean. Thanks a lot. Coming up on the Crestdoor halftime report, some honorable mention all-conference performers. Trevor Mark will join me. Virginia and Fresno State got together in Boise. It was a thriller. We'll show you how it ended. Maybe it ended too soon. Petrino and Tuberville linked again, and we'll update you on Reggie White as well.
Petrino and Tuberville linked again. I'm anxious to hear what that's all about. Shaky tackling and a flag thrown, might be for a face mask, as Chris Bellamy, the senior from New Britain, Connecticut, playing in his last game, ran for 7. There is a face mask added to the end of the run.
You know, Trev, we'll find out what loyal coach out there might want that LSU job that would go there for the end of all end. You know, that it's my home. I'm here to stay.
Personal foul, grabbing a helmet opening on number 8 of the defense. Penalty is 15 yards from the end of the run and a first down.
David Thomas called for the penalty. Well, we know one guy doesn't want to go anywhere, Tom Amstutz, who's lived in Toledo for his entire life except for 3 years when he was an assistant coach at Navy. Grew up in Toledo, played at the University of Toledo. He said he knew when he was about 9 years old he wanted to be the coach at Toledo when he was a fan watching some great teams in the late 60s. 21 years as an assistant coach, most of them as the defensive coordinator under Gary Pinkel. Actually left with Coach Pinkel when he went to Missouri for a week and then found out he was the head coach. He came back to Toledo, and he is enormously popular.
Well, with a name like Toledo Tom, it's hard to go somewhere else. You'd have to go to a Tuscaloosa Tom or a Tallahassee Tom or a...
This is where his heart is. With his record 36-14, that's the kind of record that gets you noticed elsewhere. He said it would have to be an incredibly special situation. He said, I've had 1 or 2 calls from quote-unquote bigger programs, but I haven't really been interested.
We know money.
Coach, it's here.
All right, this is what I've been waiting for. Oh, there he is. More handsome than I expected. Nice hairdo, though.
Tom Amstutz likes his new bobblehead doll. We think you'll like yours, too. Get your free Tom Amstutz bobblehead doll with the purchase of Rocket Football season tickets.
And they were a big item, no pun intended, in Toledo. Great personality for the 49-year-old head coach. He's becoming more and more well known around the country. The 7th time this year they've been on national TV. They're one of those teams that play any night of the week for the exposure. Henry can't hold on. He's had a couple of chances on this possession for Connecticut and hasn't been able to haul it in. Patrick Body had the coverage.
You know what? This is the throw here that we'll look forward to watching in the Senior Bowl coming up at the end of January. That ball is on the money. That's a great throw. And you've seen all kinds of throws now that Orlovsky's made today. Karan Henry, normally a guy pretty dependable for him.
Not quite as dependable tonight. 2nd and 10 from the 22. Connecticut trying to add to a 17-point lead. Blitz for Toledo. Orlovsky gets it off, and it's dropped by the fullback Deion Anderson, the junior from Providence, Rhode Island, usually pretty sure-handed. We're at the 8th annual Motor City Bowl, a part of Capital One Bowl Week at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. Connecticut, its first ever bowl game against the Toledo Rockets in this bowl game for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Randy Edsall's team has controlled the play throughout, scored a field goal on the opening drive. They lead by 17. 10th play of the drive. 3rd down and 10. Toledo rushed 5. It's a screen to Chris Bellamy. And he gets nowhere near the 1st down marker. Down to the 18. Tackled by Anthony Jordan. And the field goal team comes out for Randy Edsall.
Nice stop by Toledo here to force a field goal attempt. This Connecticut offensive line has been the difference, in my opinion, in this half. They picked up every conceivable different change Toledo's brought them and given time to Orlovsky to throw the football.
Bad news, he got off to a shaky start this season, but kicked 3 field goals against Pittsburgh, including a 49-yarder right before the half. And that ignited his season. He made 10 field goals in a row at one point, a Connecticut record, and he's good there from 37. Backup quarterback is warming up. Marcus Council for Toledo. We'll see if he comes in when we come back.
Dave Ryan back on the Toledo sideline at the Motor City Bowl in Detroit. David Odenthal, the Rockets starting center, has a badly sprained left ankle. Trainers have retaped it, tried a couple of snaps, did David, but there was too much pain. They put ice on it, and they've carted him off into the locker room for x-rays, some evaluation. They still hope to have him back in the second half. The guys I was watching, he was grimacing in a lot of pain. Didn't look like he was going to return. The team has already lost freshman special teams man Jeremy Wright to torn knee ligaments, definitely out for the game tonight.
There's the kickoff by Newsy. Thank you, Dave. Comes down to Kenny Higgins. And he was stopped short of the 20-yard line. And in to Maurice Lloyd after a 16-yard return. Bruce Gradkowski without his starting center, Odenthal. Let's hope Odenthal can return, Craig. It would be a shame for his career to end this way. And it was really a fascinating story how David wound up as the center at Toledo. He's from Germany, played high school football over there for Kirk Heidelberg, who was a former assistant coach at Toledo. He mentioned Odenthal and his interest in coming to the United States to the Toledo staff. Odenthal sent a bunch of emails and tapes over the United States, never got a response. So one spring he decided, I'm just going to go over the United States with some tapes. Gradkowski throws, and it's incomplete. His first stop was Toledo because he had the connection there. He walked into Gary Pinkel. Gary Pinkel didn't seem all that interested. The next day, he got a phone call as he was about to head off to the next stop with his tapes. Pinkel said, we want to offer you a scholarship right now. Odenthal said, I accepted immediately, threw the other 19 tapes away, and has been a fixture on that offensive line for Coach Tom Amstutz since.
You hear a lot of good stories like that from these mid-major conference schools that are getting the guys out there that are not necessarily on the radar screen.
Beeson is still in there now as the backup center. On 2nd and 10, Gradkowski throws. Bad looking ball. Holmes was open in the flat, and that was way short. Very atypical of Bruce Gradkowski, who clearly is not the same quarterback with that broken hand.
No, he's not, and this is going to really make it a pretty tough decision on Amstutz and his staff as to whether or not Gradkowski will be the guy in the second half. They've got to go with somebody who can throw the football. This offense normally going down the field in a minute 20 would have been no problem.
Council has very little experience as a freshman. Rob Spence, the offensive coordinator, told us it really takes a couple of years in their system before they feel the quarterback can really be comfortable and ready to play. Very unusual conservative play call by any standards, but particularly by Toledo standards on 3rd and 10, just a handoff to Dawson. He's out to the 25. And a timeout called by Connecticut, looking for more with 1:03 left in the half. And just a moment ago, Bruce Gradkowski made his way to the locker room here at Ford Field. And the medical staff a little extra time before the half to take a look at his broken right hand. I think they were encouraged, Craig, because he played so well in the second half of that MAC championship game against Miami. After he broke the hand, they taped him up. He led them back. He threw 3 touchdown passes to Lance Moore in the second half and looked good doing it.
But he still had the adrenaline, the juices flowing on that particular day. Then he let it crystallize over the last couple of weeks and just can't get it going.
That literally hit a Connecticut player, and he did, so he picked it up. Alert play on special teams by Marvin Taylor. 36-yard punt by Brett Kern. Coming up, the Crestor halftime report with Reese, Trev, and Mark, and some interesting developments in college football that they'll be following. I'm anxious to hear that Petrino-Tuberville connection thing again.
Yeah, a little Christo report from some crusty guys. The trio coming at you.
Why do you say that? All year long, we've worked so hard to build up a nice relationship with those three. And
well, I respect them. I like them. I love listening to them, seeing what they're going to say.
I don't think they're crusty.
Oh, man, they get crusty on each other all the time.
Cranky, maybe. I don't say
that's
crusty.
true. All right.
Karan Henry out to the 49-yard line. 9-yard gain, and Connecticut is going to go up quickly. 1 timeout left for each team. 30 seconds to go in the half. And the pass incomplete, bring up 3rd down and 1 with 27 seconds to go. Randy Edsall, Pennsylvania native, youthful looking 46-year-old, played at Syracuse, coached there for 10 years under Frank Maloney and Dick McPherson. Then went on to Boston College with Tom Coughlin for 3 years, to the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars with Coach Coughlin, 1 year at Georgia Tech under George O'Leary as defensive coordinator. Now in his 6th year as head coach at Connecticut. They've had almost amazing success, making the transition 3 years ago to Division 1A. Won 20 of their last 27 games. They run to pick up the 1st down. That'll stop the clock to move the chains. They'll hang on to the timeout and get right up over the ball with 22 seconds left in the half. Brockington picked it up. Now they wind the clock, and Orlovsky will try to snap it quickly. 3 wide receivers, 2 to his left. Orlovsky throws on the run. He has a man open. It's Kataya out of bounds with a 1st down at the 6-yard line. They're going to mark it back at the 7-yard line. A 41-yard completion to the senior from Webster, New York, Matt Kataya.
That time Orlovsky helped out his offensive line, who'd been beaten on the inside with the blitz. Instead of taking off, scrambling and running, he throws the ball down the field. Orlovsky does to Kataya, and it's a big play.
A nice senior season for Kataya. He had 42 receptions in the regular season. An injury plagued the last couple of years, a broken hand and knee injuries the last 2 seasons. Now on 1st and goal, the pass incomplete.
Orlovsky's pass intended for Henry.
Intended for Karan Henry, and if you're Randy Edsall, well, he's going to answer the question before I can ask it. He's going to kick a field goal. You think that's the right call?
Absolutely. You know, you have a chance here where you're on the punt return, the ball hits your guy, and you get lucky that he recovers it, so you keep the football. You have a big play down the field. Points on the board going in, making it 30-7 would be mentally a larger number.
Lucy 2 for 2 tonight. 35 and 37. 18 for 25 for the year. 25-yard field goal is good as the first half expires. Great first half for Connecticut. Randy Edsel and the Huskies in their first bowl game, and what a performance. Meanwhile, Toledo is going to have to try to come from behind at the half to win for the 4th game in a row. They've had magic like this in the past, but they've also had a healthy Gradkowski for the most part in those games. 30-7 Connecticut at the break with more than 6,000 Connecticut fans at Ford Field. Let's send you back for the Crest Store halftime report. Here's Reese.
All right, Sean, Fred, and Mark along as well.
I tell you what, guys, Craig James doing an outstanding job in terms of analyzing the game. It's clear to me he has all 3 senses working tonight.
Craig thought he only had 3 senses earlier.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got all 3 of them engaged this evening.
Well, maybe he only needs 3.
Yes.
You know who needs some extra ones right now? Toledo does. They really need a sense of what they're going to do at quarterback with Bruce Gradkowski being hurt. Mark, how do you handle the second half of your Tom Amstutz?
Well, I think if you're Tom Amstutz, you really have to consider changing quarterbacks right now. It's a valiant effort right now by Bruce Gradkowski in the first half, coming off the separated shoulder and the broken hand, but he's just not getting the job done. He's not throwing the ball with enough force behind it. All of his passes are fluttering. They're not getting to his receiver in time. I think it's time that he has to seriously consider replacing his quarterback.
I completely disagree. I think that you have a quarterback, guys, in the last 30 minutes of the MAC championship game led his team to 3 scores. This is a bowl game. This is a reward for a good season. Certainly the reason why Toledo's in this bowl game is because of the quarterback play of Bruce Gradkowski. You let this young man play as long as he can until he says, Coach, I simply can't get it done anymore.
Yeah, but Trev, there comes a point in time in the game where the coach has to make that decision. Your quarterback's not getting the job done. He's not throwing the ball with any velocity. They're behind 20-7 in this game. They need something to happen. They need a spark. They're not going to get that by an injured quarterback.
They're not behind because of Bruce Gradkowski. They're behind because their defense can't make plays.
And also some questionable plays on special teams as well. As Sean mentioned, trying to come from behind for the 4th straight game. The game this is most similar to. They were down 20 against Bowling Green, but Gradkowski was healthy. Fresno State hoped to be healthy against Virginia. Took a little extra free football to settle this one. We'll show you the controversial ending in a bit.
And welcome back to Ford Field in downtown Detroit. Halftime at the Motor City Bowl, and Connecticut in its first bowl game ever with a very impressive performance, leading Toledo 30-7. Sean McDonough along with Craig James will be joined in a moment again by Dave Ryan. And clearly, Craig, the story of the ball game so far is Bruce Gradkowski playing with the broken hand. Really just can't throw the ball.
He can't throw the ball, and they're going to have to make a decision whether or not in the second half to play the guy or not. They can't throw the football. This Toledo offense normally is dynamite. They spread the football all over the field. They throw it. They score. I thought we'd have a high-scoring game, but without Gradkowski able to grip that football and throw it, forget about it.
They average over 300 yards per game passing. Gradkowski was 6 for 12. In the first half for 43 yards. A lot of the passes look like that one. He left the field late in the half to get extra medical attention. Meanwhile, Larry Taylor set the tone with the opening kickoff that set up a field goal. Then he scored on a punt return, a dazzling 68-yarder. He later had a 54-yard kickoff return to set up another Connecticut touchdown. He was the star of the first half, and Orlovsky was his usual self for the Huskies. 14 out of 24, 2 touchdowns. 146 yards passing. Larry Taylor, the freshman, the star of the half for Connecticut. Well, we have a moment. We want to send along our best wishes to the governor of the great state of Connecticut, the Nutmeg State, Governor Jody Rell. She underwent breast cancer surgery today in Danbury, Connecticut. The good news is that the cancer had not spread to her lymph nodes. She's expected to be hospitalized about 3 days, and in her statement released today, she said she was looking forward to watching the Husky football team in their first ever bowl game tonight. So clearly she enjoyed what she saw here in the first half tonight, and we wish her well. The kickoff out of bounds, so Toledo will take the football out of the 35-yard line as we check in with Dave Ryan.
All right, Sean, big question of the night. What will Tom Anstutz, the head coach at Toledo, do in the second half? He told me going off after the first half of play that Marcus Council, the redshirt freshman quarterback, will replace Bruce Gradkowski to begin this second half. Gradkowski in a lot of pain, very ineffective, as Craig mentioned a moment ago, not able to throw any pass, no matter what the route, that wasn't fluttering, and just could not get comfortable out there. Council, guys, has played in all 9 games this year, 20 pass attempts, all in mop-up duties, sometimes on the hands team on special teams. Coach said, we're known for comebacks, but without Gradkowski, it's going to be tough tonight, Sean.
Well, indeed, it will be. Council's a redshirt freshman from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. They do have David Odenthal back in at center with that injured left ankle. And Trinity Dawson was one of the few bright spots of the first half with 79 yards rushing, following the block of Odenthal for a yard. It's good to see David Odenthal back in there. It didn't look good when he limped off.
No, it did not. I mean, you know, he had it iced up. Normally when the ice bag goes on, you're on the cart, you're done.
So I think Mike Dipka's from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, is he not?
Yes.
I believe Ty Law is as well, New England Patriot cornerback. Short throw to the 39. Council, as Dave said, played briefly in 9 games. His most considerable action in the first game of the year at Minnesota when they were routed by the Gophers. He was 5 for 8 in that game for 110 yards. He threw a 56-yard touchdown pass. 2 for 2 in games against Ball State and Western Michigan. He's on their hands team, has twice recovered onside kicks. But has not seen much action. He's looking at 3rd and 6. He'll go out of the gun. Also an excellent athlete. Was considered one of the top basketball players in Western Pennsylvania at Aliquippa High School. Showing that athleticism, great running ability. He's a long strider at 6'3", 194 pounds, and he has a first down out to the 50-yard line on a 12-yard run.
You know what Council's going to do? If he can't get it done with his arm, maybe he can do it with his legs. But you'll see now that Connecticut's defense is going to have to make the adjustment. Tyler King, 52, is going to have to come off and recognize containment. So there's a different game plan now that Connecticut's defense is going to have to deal with. And it may not be the arm. It might be his legs.
3 tight ends now. Mentioned that they've trailed Toledo in their last 3 games at the half. Had to win all 3 to be in position to come to this Motor City Bowl. Wow, there should have been a flag behind that play, but none of the officials were there. Now there's a flag from across the field. One of them saw it. One of the Huskies just threw down the Toledo Rocket behind the play, thinking there wasn't an official looking at it, but there was. Odenthal, the player who got swung down to the ground
After the play,
by Rama
personal
Fuller.
foul on number 53.
Excuse me, Ray Blackman, Fuller's backup, number 53, not 93 Fuller. That was just idiotic by Blackman. And it did not go undetected. The referee, who's ordinarily back in that area, had run up near the line of scrimmage at the end of the play. But the official on the far sideline saw it. Blackman's a backup, has just 6 tackles all year. Cleared sparingly in 9 games. He might not get back in very often with that. And it might help to spark Toledo as Lance Moore, who had 85 catches coming in, had 1 in the first half for -4 yards, has a 29-yard gain down to the 6-yard line.
And Council, you see him move the pocket. That's exactly what you do with a guy who can run the football, get to the perimeter, put the pressure on the secondary, and Moore's going to make the play. If you're a Toledo fan, you have to be excited that a football went beyond 10 yards with a little bit of a spiral.
Yeah, it was a tight spiral. It's by far the best looking ball all night, and you certainly can't fault Gradkowski. You have to give him all the kudos for trying to play with a broken bone in his hand. Lawson had his helmet knocked off and lost a yard. He was determined to try to get back to that line of scrimmage, but could not. John Fletcher led that defensive surge for UConn.
And I tell you what, keep your chin strap on, buckled up when you get inside. And the question is, could Dawson have jumped to the outside? Now, clear coverage on the outside, nowhere to go for him. Fletcher came up and helped the helmet come off.
Fletcher's a senior. His 24th straight start at safety for UConn is tonight. 5th leading tackler on the team. 2nd and goal. Mentioned they trailed in their last 3 games of the half. It was 14-7 against Miami in the MAC championship game. Dawson tripped up again. Excuse me, Parmalee in for Dawson, tripped up. They were down 27-7 in the last game of the regular season, a must-win game to get to that championship game against Bowling Green. They came back to beat their arch rival, and they trailed at Northern Illinois in the game prior to that, also a must-win. Rallied to win against Northern Illinois on the road. 3rd down and goal upcoming from the 9-yard line after this Toledo timeout. They're trying to punch this ball in the end zone of the Rockets of Toledo. A big 3rd down and goal from the 9-yard line after a timeout. They had 1st and goal at the 6. Looked like they were reluctant to let Council throw it in that situation. Now he has to, and it is incomplete. Off the hands of Kenny Higgins. It was a little high, but catchable. And Council was 2 for 3 on that drive. That was the first incompletion. He also had a rush for 12 yards, and Tom Amstutz sends the field goal unit on.
And he had his hands wrong. Higgins and these wide receivers, they need to get together and say, hey, look, at halftime, we have to catch any ball that comes in our area. Council's new coming in. That's a heck of a throw by Council. It should have been a touchdown.
Jason Robbins. Ordinarily, Gradkowski's the holder. So Council holds for a 26-yard field goal try. And the kick is right down the middle by the junior Robbins. He's a junior. He's already earned his degree in exercise science. He's working toward a master's in exercise science.
Look at his hands. You know, when they talk about receivers have to come out and do the deal.
Well, Toledo got 3 on the drive led by Council, but it could have been 7.
Yeah, it could have been 7. This is a really nice ball. It throws right into the back, and you see how his hands are kind of turned, I think, the wrong way. He needs to go ahead and get them out in front. When you have to have the eyes follow the football beyond the head to the back, you know, that ball's moving pretty good. Go ahead and catch it out front.
Robbins will kick off. Larry Taylor among those back deep for the kickoff for Connecticut. He's had an amazing night. On return for a touchdown, 2 long kickoff returns, so they're going to pop it up and keep it away from him. Wisely so. Deion Anderson, their starting fullback, caught the kickoff and brought it back to the 39. That's a 10-yard return. Here's Dave Ryan.
All right, the latest guys on Bruce Gradkowski is talking now with Marcus Council at the back of the Toledo bench. He is in sweats now and a baseball cap, Toledo ball cap backwards. His mom, Debbie, is talking at the back of the Toledo bench as well. First row of the stands with some Toledo trainers to try to get the latest on her son's status. But obviously now that Bruce is in civvies and out of uniform, he's done for the night. Got to be a frustrating time for each of them trying to finish out this season in style.
We talked to Bruce before the game. He said his mom is wild and crazy. Obviously, she's just a concerned mom right now, understandably so. Orlovsky's pass incomplete. They had a big group that made the 5-hour bus ride. A lot of cousins and relatives of Bruce Gradkowski came here to Detroit wearing the number 7 jerseys. And a disappointing completion of this season, but he will have another year. We were talking about what a league the MAC must be for quarterbacks. He wasn't in the top 3. With the year he had in the balloting for the All-MAC squad at the end of the year, all he did was complete 71% of his passes, throw for almost 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in the regular season. But Omar Jacobs of Bowling Green was the player of the year in the conference. They have Charlie Fry, who Mel Kiper has rated at Akron, the #1 senior quarterback prospect in the country, and Joshua Cribbs at Kent State were the 3 All-MAC quarterbacks.
Well, it'll be about that time of the year where old Mel Kiper will start throwing out names in his lists. He'll stop sleeping.
A lot of the All-Star Bowl games coming up. Orlovsky's heading to the Senior Bowl. Mel has him rated as the 4th senior quarterback. On 3rd down under duress, one of the few times tonight he throws it away. Well, perhaps a little momentum now for Toledo. By the way, if you're curious, we mentioned Charlie Fry as Mel's #1 senior quarterback. Kyle Orton of Purdue, #2. Jason Campbell of Auburn, #3. Orlovsky, 4, and Andrew Walter of Arizona State, 5. And Bruce over there to talk with his mom, Debbie.
You know, I've found, Sean, that moms usually are the ones that are really the more aggressive. You know, come on now, you get ready, make sure you get out and you do your. Have you thrown?
You think she wants him to go back in?
Have you lifted? Did you do it all? Are you sure?
She's the emotional Italian. Her mom makes great spaghetti, from what Bruce says. They go over there every week. Go back. You know, the irony in all this, of course, Ben Roethlisberger is the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback and the toast of the town. They're from Pittsburgh, the Krakowskis. They're big Steeler fans. He had been their rival when he was in Miami of Ohio, a rival of Toledo. Now Debbie says you have to emulate Ben Roethlisberger. Notre Dame and Oregon State will meet in the Insight Bowl at 9:45 Eastern Time. Kent Bayer will coach Notre Dame, the defensive coordinator. Then Charlie Weiss will take over. That's Tuesday night, 9:45 Eastern Time.
Oh, man, that'll be an interesting start to a new era at Notre Dame football. Woo, man.
Council looking for Moore, who was running behind the defense, and the pass incomplete.
That's a good throw there. These wide receivers need to get slapped in the jaw a little bit, man. Somebody needs to go grab him the face mask and say, hey, fellas, we got a new quarterback in there who's throwing the football. Let's go.
Didn't
he
see
knows
it coming.
He knows it. Lance Moore, dependable, school's all-time lead receiver. Guarantee he wants another shot at that. That's 6 points.
219 career receptions for Moore. He's also an outstanding student, first-team academic All-American, 3.5 GPA, 3.93 last spring in the semester. Council runs out to the 37-yard line. You get the feeling he could give them a spark, Craig, if the team would believe in him, make a few plays around him.
You know what? He's taken them down, got 3 points, had a drop touchdown. That one there, Lance Moore, if he's looking right beyond when as soon as he clears, it's a 6-point play.
Third down and 1. They hand it off to Trinity Dawson, and it'll be close.
Trinity Dawson was the ball carrier. Stopped at the middle line, number 40, Sean Main.
Tom Amstutz goes for it on 4th down. More than any other coach I'm familiar with. He said, I did a study of it, statistical study, and realized that more often than not you make it, and good things happen when you go for more 4th downs than your opponent. And as you can see with those numbers, 37 times they've gone for it. 9 times in one game this year they went for it on 4th down.
And in this situation, and every one of them's different that you have to consider, but in this situation, in this game, your backup quarterback's in, your defense just stopped the other team. I think you go for it. He already shown that tendencies like you just shown to go for it.
Well, he doesn't have to make that decision. It's a 1st down. I think he would have gone for it.
I do agree. And it would have been the right move. Now that offensive line, they need to pick it up a little bit. Somebody needs to holler at the wide receivers and tell them to enter the football game.
There's Nick Kaiser, their all-conference 3 years in a row, first-team All-MAC left tackle, 6'5", 305. He's from Brantford, Ontario, the hometown of Wayne Gretzky. He met Wayne Gretzky when he was a youngster. Council's pass incomplete. Kaiser, as you might expect, being from Ontario, was a hockey player until he was about 13 years old. He said, I started to get very big, but also I was raised by a single mom. We had 3 boys. Hockey's an expensive sport. So I decided I was going to give up hockey. We really couldn't afford it. So I took up another contact sport, football. He told us high school football is a lot different in Canada. There were only 4 teams in their league, so they kept playing the same teams over and over again. So he never had film study, never looked at films, never had two-a-days. He had to get his academic house in order, so he worked 12 or 13 hours a day in construction for a couple of years. Came to Toledo as a 21-year-old freshman, now a 25-year-old senior with an NFL future. Council on 2nd and 10, dropped for a loss back at the 36-yard line by Maurice Lloyd.
And you know what, Sean? He had that look in his eye like, hey, don't mess with me. I'm not here to mess with you, but if you mess with me before you finish the messing, I'm in your messing. That kind of guy.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask him any tough questions.
No, I noticed, and I was just grinning and being nice, you know.
Which was a pleasant switch for all of us. Third down and 11. Little momentum here for Toledo. They're trying to keep that going. Council down the middle. Higgins. There's a receiver making a play. He got leveled by Dante Moore, but held on for a first down for the Rockets at the 39-yard line of Connecticut. A 24-yard pickup.
That's what I'm talking about. The ball's thrown late because Higgins is open early. Right now, he should have had the football. But Higgins hangs in there and didn't alligator arm that one. He'd already dropped one, the one in the end zone. That's a great job by Higgins to step up and suck it up and make the catch.
Higgins has really emerged this year as a senior. 44 catches in the regular season after he had just 4 last year. Played 2 years at junior college at Long Beach City College in California. Holmes with Moore all over him, and Dante Moore batted it down. It'll be 2nd and 10. And they've already come close to their first half yardage total here in the first 6 minutes plus of the second half, led by Council. Randy Edsall realizes that this quarterback has helped turn the momentum in favor of Toledo. Remind you of the stat in the 4 years under Coach Amstutz. 11 times they've come from 10 points or more down to win. Here's Parmalee down the sideline. He stayed in bounds and picks up a first down at the 24-yard line, maybe even the 23 when they finally put it down. Hargrave belted him out of bounds.
You know what? Connecticut's defense, they're right now trying to figure out exactly how they should approach Council. Do we rush him hard, or we just kind of hold our ground so that when he breaks pocket and he's outside in that little flat area, we can tackle him? There's a lot of receiving going on the Connecticut defense right now.
15-yard gain by Parmalee on that reception. Toledo on the move again. 1st and 10 from the 23 of UConn. Trinity Dawson. He spent some of his formative years here in Detroit. He was born in Tulsa, but moved to Detroit when he was 3 years old. Lived here in the Motor City from age 3 to 11, then moved back to Tulsa. He said his mom moved back to Detroit, so he looked at schools in this area. Went to the Michigan football camp one summer, and Tom Amstutz was a counselor at the camp. He noticed Trinity Dawson, and that's how Trinity wound up coming from Oklahoma to Toledo.
And he said he was at one of them high-powered prep, kind of high school deals.
Yeah, Union High School.
Yeah, you got to wait your turn to play kind of deals.
Only played as a senior, so he didn't get a lot of recruiting action, but Amstutz already knew about him because of the camp. 10th play of the drive, 2nd and 8. A lot of time for Council. He throws on the run into the end zone, batted down, and a flag thrown as Justin Perkins went over the back of Lance Moore. He's done a great job shutting down Moore tonight, but he might be flagged for pass interference here.
And you know what? If the flag.
There's another one down at the line of scrimmage too, Craig. That's why the Rockets don't look all that happy. Holding against Toledo, pass interference against Connecticut.
Holding number 68 of the offense. Pass interference number 2 on the defense. Penalties offset. Replay first down.
Kaiser, a 4-time all-conference tackle, called for the hold. It wipes out the pass interference penalty.
Well, let's check out the holding call on 68. Let's see if Kaiser did hold him.
He's got a couple handful of jersey there.
You know what, though? But he stayed engaged with him, you know? I mean, that's one of those borderline deals. That's a shaky call there. And Perkins, he has his arm on his left, and Moore's left arm. He's pulling down on it.
Gordon Broussard in running back now. 2nd and 8 again. Council faked the screen and intended for the same receiver who fell down, and Alfred Fincher picks it off. Goodbye momentum for the Rockets. They faked the wide receiver screen, then the same receiver cut across the middle and fell down, and Fincher picked it off, his 2nd of the year. Under 8 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Connecticut leads by 20.
7:51 left, Motor City Bowl, third quarter. UConn a 20-point lead on Toledo. We're joined by injured quarterback Bruce Gradkowski of Toledo. When did you realize, Bruce, the hand just wasn't going to be effective enough in the first half?
Well, we went in at halftime and took some x-rays, and the x-rays weren't too good. So the best option right now is just to sit this game out. You know, hopefully we can make a run at it. Marcus is going to do a good job. He had most of the preparation during the week and preparing for UConn, so he's ready to play. And you know, my best thing is just to relax and try to get healthy for next season. So,
what kind of advice, Bruce, did you give Marcus? I know you've been talking with him quite a bit here on the sideline.
Well, I'm just telling him, take what they give you. You know, relax. Just do what you're coached to do. We have a great coach in Coach Spence, and you know, Marcus has had all the reps this week, so he's been doing well. He's getting better, you know, every week. And this is a tough situation for him, but you're just going to help him out as much as he can. And just with his energy and his athleticism is going to really help us out.
That interception really hurt the momentum of the Rockets, but down by 20, is a comeback possible?
Comeback's definitely possible with us. You never know. And, you know, a receiver fell on that last play, so it's tough. But, you know, we just have to get a play on defense, which I'm sure we will. So we're just going to keep fighting. We never give up, so we'll see what happens.
Your mom, Debbie, was down here. What did you guys talk about?
My mom's a warrior, so I just told her, you know, it's going to be all right. And we're just going to have to wait till after tonight to see what I'm going to have to do to try to get this better, if I need surgery again or not. And, you know, I just want to enjoy my Christmas break. So it's tough that I have to worry about all this now, but, you know, I have a long way to get rested for next year.
Sorry to see you go out. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Rhino, thank you. Good luck to Bruce with another season to play. We'll be watching his cousin in the Fiesta Bowl. Joe Del Sardo, starting wide receiver at Pittsburgh, is the first cousin of Bruce Gradkowski. And Murray, the last catch after the completion for Henry from Orlovsky, got them a first down at the 35. 5 more on the pass to the tight end Murray. Now they're looking at 2nd and 5 from the 40. Blitz off the corner. UConn runs away from it. Cornell Brockington down to the 44-yard line. Tripped up by Antonio Malone. A 16-yard run for the sophomore from Burlington, New Jersey, Brockington.
And you know what, you'll see that the safeties that are coming hard, they over pursue. Look at this cutback lane here. You know, the over pursuit, when you have an overlap of a defender, somebody's left their front door open for you to run through. And the vision of Brockington that we talked about early in this game was right there, and the burst was obvious.
64 yards rushing. We did not play in the second half of their season finale at Rutgers on Thanksgiving. We had a neck and shoulder stinger. Chris Bellamy in for him right now, and he carried to the 41 for a pickup of 3.
And we were talking with Randy Edsel this week, talking about next year, who's your quarterback? You know, we said, hey, Randy, who are you going to go with now? Orlovsky's gone. He goes, well, we've got a great backfield to build around for next year that they can carry the load for him. A little bit different kind of version of the offense.
We have Matt Bonoslawski, who is the apparent quarterback, and he'll have a lot of help from Brockington. They'll get Terry Cawley back next year, who's out all this year with a knee injury suffered 2 years ago when he was leading the nation in rushing at the time of the knee injury. Ron Henry the catch, just shy of a first down. They have Brandon Young, a junior wide receiver, coming back next year to help take the place of Ron Henry. Young missed the whole season with a foot injury suffered in a car accident over the summer. So they will have some new faces, but they believe some talented new people as they look forward to year 2 in the Big East. And they'll say goodbye to Boston College and hello to Louisville and South Florida and Cincinnati. Brockington picks up the first down. And you have to think all of the pieces are now in place, Craig, for them to be successful. And Randy Edsel said, I knew back in 1998 if I actually came and looked at the facilities when I interviewed for the job, which he did not, by the way, I don't know if I would have taken the job. You know, they have an old stadium on campus. It was only 15,000 seats. Their offices still are in trailers right now, but they're building one of these football Taj Mahals that all the powerhouse programs seem to have around the country now. And they have the beautiful new stadium, Rentschler Field, which they sold out for every game but one this year. Football has really taken off in the Nutmeg State, kind of trying to follow the example of the basketball programs, and there isn't any reason to believe that they can't have outstanding success. I mean, there's no reason why they can't be a factor to win the Big East every year.
And once they get the projects that are under construction now finished off, they already are talking about adding on to the 40,000 seat stadium. So, you know, you look at the Big East and the way the alignment will be next year, and Cincinnati and coming in, Boston College leaving is a good team. Louisville coming in is a good team. So it's about the same.
Cincinnati will have a rebuilding year next year. We saw them win the Plains Capital Fort Worth Bowl the other night. They have a senior nucleus that they will lose. Karan Henry gets the first down. A methodical drive engineered by Orlovsky. Henry, an 11-yard gain. Deion Jackson with the tackle.
I go back to Norris Wilson, the offensive coordinator here at Connecticut. The whole game, he's done a heck of a job of calling plays and has kept Toledo guessing on defense. The offensive line, number 2, would be the MVP for me. I know Larry Taylor's had a heck of a game for them, but that offensive line done well.
We'll talk about the need, and it is a need to hire more minority head coaching candidates. And Norris Wilson has had some interviews. I understand as he could have been the head coach at the University of Massachusetts, but turned that down. And he'll have other good opportunities. Meanwhile, Lou West, the defensive coordinator at Toledo, is coaching his last game after 4 years as their coordinator under Tommy Emstutz. He accepted the Indiana State head coaching job at Division I AA school in the Gateway Conference that includes Youngstown State, a perennial power. He's looking forward to it. He said they really sought me out. He said I was afraid it might just be I was the minority candidate they felt they had to interview. But I realized no, their interest in me was sincere. Seemed like a great opportunity. They're going to take over the Indiana State football program. And we wish him well. The guy was a terrific resume. And as Tom Amstutz said, a first-class man of high moral character. Here's a guy who's coached at Arizona, Middle Tennessee State, Minnesota, Western Michigan, Kansas, Cincinnati, Kent State, Virginia Tech, and Notre Dame. Also in junior college. I'd say he's earned the opportunity.
Well, you know, the thing that he has is he has a balanced platform. That resume is not just a big school or just a small school. I mean, he's seen the ups, he's seen the middle level programs. So I think it's a great hire and a good opportunity for him.
26 years of coaching experience. He said, I've been the defensive coordinator at Toledo from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then at night I'm working on putting together a staff at Indiana State and doing some recruiting. Brandon McLean, the intended receiver, incomplete pass from Orlovsky, and Connecticut will try a field goal with under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
When Connecticut gets down in the red zone, we've seen Toledo's defense really soften up and absorb kind of the receivers and the routes and force several field goal attempts in this football game. So Toledo's red zone defense has done a pretty good job today.
Remember we were there for the Pittsburgh and West Virginia games and they were booing Matt Newsy at Wrenchler Field in East Hartford, Connecticut? Not anymore. I mean, he can't miss. Ever since that Pittsburgh game when he made that 49-yarder at the half to send them off to a rousing ovation, he's been just about perfect. And he boots another one through from 36. It's 33-10. And welcome back to downtown Detroit. Campus Martius. We're kind of envious as we drove by that last night, watching the figure skaters and other skaters out there having a good time for themselves.
I dropped you off and I went right to the rink. Around the tree a few laps.
Lance Moore will take a knee. So Wednesday night, the Alamo Bowl on ESPN. Oklahoma State takes on 22nd ranked Ohio State, led by the explosive Ted Ginn Jr. It's the MasterCard Alamo Bowl at 8 Eastern on ESPN, all part of Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and ESPN2. Ginn averaging 19.3 yards per touch.
He's unbelievable. I mean, the guy, punt returns, wide receiver, he is, when the ball gets in his hands, he makes a play, a big play.
Usually about 19.3 yards.
Is that what you said?
Well,
I think it's bigger than that. When you average in the punt returns and all that stuff.
It's 19.3 yards per touch.
Okay.
Explain the concept as we go. Counsel underneath for Lance Moore. Up to the 25. James Hargrave made a 7th tackle. Down to a minute 40 to go. Moore has a brother Nick, a wide receiver, who is redshirting this year as a freshman. Lance wanted to go to Ohio State. Speaking of the Buckeyes, he grew up in Columbus. but they didn't recruit him. He was going to go. There's Nick Moore. He was going to go as a walk-on. And then right before his high school graduation, a couple of schools came out of the woodwork to offer Lance Moore a scholarship. Council incomplete, looking for Odom. Akron, Eastern Michigan, and Toledo offered him a scholarship. He chose Toledo, and he's become their all-time leading receiver. It's amazing, Craig. Here's a kid who in high school caught 103 passes his senior year to set the state record. A great high school football state. Everybody says he's too small. He's too small. We're not going to offer him a scholarship.
You know what's better about him than those 103 catches? The guy is an awesome student and a good kid. Good guy.
And they call him a triple threat. Great player, great student, and great person. Coaches rave about him. Council is sacked. That's the third sack of the night, and it's Ray Blagman with the sack. His first of the season for the sophomore. He was a backup most of the year, but he was in on that sack.
Brett Kern is back to punt for the Rockets.
Saw Afa Hawaii also nearby in that sack. I hope he gets involved in the action. You know, his dad was one of the professional wrestlers, the Wild Samoans. I think you were a big fan of them, were you not? Way back when. 37-yard punt by Hussard, and Toledo takes over. Sean McDonough and Craig James, delighted to have you with us. And Craig, this Motor City Bowl now in its 8th year. When they started, it was up the road about an hour in Pontiac. It's really made a big difference since they moved it downtown here to beautiful Ford Field. And this is a bowl game at a time when a lot of bowl games you see empty seats and the games seem to be struggling. This is a bowl game with some momentum.
You know what, you just, the organization and how they took care of the players throughout the week, everybody was excited about it. You see the crowd here. You and I, we've watched many games this year, some because of weather, some because of other situations, but they've got a crowd here. They're supporting it. Now they need to integrate the culture of this city, get Motown involved, get the singers coming.
Little flea flicker, and they're looking deep for Karan Henry, and it's incomplete. Patrick Body had the coverage. The UConn fans want a flag. And Patrick might have bodied Karan Henry without a flag.
Well, you know what? Body is kind of working down there. Yeah, and I think of the game, that may be a little handicap, you know, help him out call.
We enjoyed talking with Patrick Body. How about the story he told us yesterday when we visited with him? He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Grew up as an only child with a single mom, Patricia Johnson. His dad incarcerated, now in a halfway house. And he had grade problems coming out of high school. Other big schools backed off. Toledo recruited him heavily and stayed with him. So Body went to Toledo, but he didn't qualify academically. So he had the choice of sitting out for a year and trying to get his academic house in order, or sitting out in school and paying to go to school. He said, I couldn't afford to go to Toledo. So he got a job, lived 7 miles from campus, walked back and forth to campus to work out, worked at Wendy's, Chili's, Dick's, Kroger's. Guy came through the Wendy's drive-thru and said, you seem like a sharp guy. How about you sell vacuums? He got a job as a vacuum cleaner salesman, made a lot more money. He said sometimes as much as $400 on a commission. And he's become a standout at Toledo. It's not looking good for the Rockets. They're still fired up, but they're running out of time. Down 33-10 in the fourth quarter. Motor City Bowl continues from Motown. Some of the great musicians of our time and an earlier generation got their start. Some of your personal favorites, I know.
Hey, man, the Temptations, Smokey Robinson. You know how many great artists started here?
They had Aretha Franklin perform here. I think it was last year. Sorry we missed her.
Really?
Third down to 9, Connecticut. Opening play of the fourth quarter. They've led throughout. A blitz for Orlovsky. And it is Karan Henry trying to break away. And there's Patrick Body, the former vacuum salesman.
Don't
able
say
to
it.
Gobble him up. I know where you were getting at. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's Body or Steve. It is Body who was injured at the end of the play.
And, you know, the quick release, the strength of the throw. Karan Henry has kind of been quiet a little bit here today, and then the race is on. But Body, he said he could run, didn't he?
Well, he ran a 4.2540 on Pro Day last spring. Just went out to run for the scouts with the other players. Lance Moore said they're out there on the field. The NFL scouts are out there. Body comes out, takes his sweats off, barely even stretches, runs a 4.2540, puts his sweats back on and leaves. Just ran once. So that time ought to be good enough to get their attention. Patrick said, I had to get the class. He has helped off. We enjoyed speaking with him last night, and you talk about obstacles to overcome. Working in a Wendy's when a guy drives through and says, hey, how'd you like to sell vacuums?
$1,600 vacuum cleaners, and like you said, if he sold it full tilt, he made 400 bucks. You know, and he said he did pretty darn good with that. I just admire him for you know, to sit out a year. You get out of the main flow of life, right? And then have the discipline to stick with it, to walk twice a week the 7 miles to meet with the coaches and to work out. I mean, I just think that speaks volumes of his character. Maybe, you know, I'm just guessing here, you know, one of those shoulder deals or.
Well, Dave Ryan is in the area. Dave, can you enlighten us?
Well, guys, unfortunately, in college football, covering pro football, I see some pretty gruesome injuries, and it looks like for Patrick Body, it's a very severe fracture of the right forearm. It's unfortunately pretty gruesome. From here, he's in a tremendous amount of pain. The doctors are going to do what they can to stabilize the situation as quickly as possible, but he's certainly done, and unfortunately for him, in a lot of pain right now.
Oh, man.
Well, he's hoping to have an NFL future. He mentioned his great speed. He is a senior. The leading tackler this year. 3-year starter at free safety. After the 43-yard gain in which Body was injured while tackling Henry, it's a short run for Chris Bellamy, remembering a loss. And let's go back, and here's the play. He injured his arm.
Yeah, you know, you can't see where the body came down on him, and of Henry, and you know, I'm always the eternal optimist. You know, it's not his legs that's hurt, you know, and so
well, the arm you would think would heal.
Yeah.
He was hoping to go, I believe, to the Las Vegas Classic, senior all-star game. I would imagine that's in doubt now if the injury is as bad as it appears. Timeout. Back to Detroit after this. Well, while we were away, they carted Patrick Body to the locker room with an apparent broken arm. Tough way to end his career at Toledo. First team all Mid-American Conference this year. His 38th straight start here tonight. Their leading tackler. I mentioned slated to go to the Las Vegas All-Star game in January. Report from the sideline, they believe he has 2 broken bones in his right forearm.
We wish him the best. He's a good man, and he's overcome a lot in his life. I wouldn't think this would hold him up from his dreams.
For UConn, 2nd and 12.
2nd and 12. Orlovsky out of the shotgun. He's 19 for 33 for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lions giving him great protection all night. That throw is high. Over the head of Karan Henry. And a few times tonight they actually put a hit on Orlovsky as he delivered that pass. 84 career touchdown passes, including the 2 tonight.
We'll get a chance to see him at the end of January down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile with all the other top quarterbacks and players from around the country.
Well, Randy Edsel said it depends on who you talk to. You know, a lot of teams like the more mobile guy in today's NFL, but the guys who like the drop back passers, very smart with the big arm who can make all the throws, they like Orlovsky. Bellamy couldn't catch that pass, and it's probably just as well because the Rockets were there to smother him. So here comes Newsy trying to add to what has been a tremendous special teams night for Coach Edsel.
You remember whenever I think maybe our first game that we covered on UConn this year, West Virginia, I think it was, the throws, some of them to the middle of the field maybe weren't really good, but he had some of them down. you can see that it's developed. He's made every throw out here tonight.
Just he had a little bad night that night. He was just a little off.
Just a little off, yeah.
He's been able to make all the throws for a while. 34-yard field goal try. Newsy is 4 for 4 tonight from 35, 36, 25, and 36. That one hits the upright and is no good. 34-yard attempt. Almost. It's still 33-10 in favor of the Huskies.
On behalf of General Motors, welcome to the Motor City Bowl. We're proud to be a presenting sponsor of this great Detroit holiday tradition. We hope you enjoy this year's game, brought to you by GM and the people who build, sell, and service our great lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Happy holidays.
And we thank the sponsors and the great staff of the Motor City Bowl, the coach George Perlis, longtime Michigan State coach, and the architect of the steel curtain defenses back with the Steelers. He's the CEO of this game now. Ken Hoffman, the executive director. All the people here in Detroit who put on a great show. First and 10, Toledo. Regardless of the outcome, it's the 11th straight winning season for the Rockets. There's Lance Moore out to the 36-yard line. Marcus Council has demonstrated he can handle the quarterbacking chores if necessary. Moore a little bit slow to get up. He's a black belt in karate. His dad Roderick is a karate teacher, and they're starting to go down with regularity for the Toledo Rockets.
But you see the arm of Council. You just have to wonder if Council had started the game for Toledo.
Ooh. Landed hard on his right elbow.
You know, and it just gets worse. You know, this is one of those deals where you're just trying to survive as a player. You know the game's just about over with. But if Council had started the first of this game, the way they're throwing the ball, his ability at least.
Yeah, but they had to start Kwiatkowski. He's their guy. He played with the broken hand against Miami in the championship game and played very well. Shovel pass to Trinity Dawson for a few out to the 39-yard line.
But you could have yanked him a little bit quicker. You know, hey, hindsight, it's easy to second guess up here.
It is.
Because Kwiatkowski is definitely their guy. Don't make any bones about that. But Council has shown here in this game, he has some life in that arm, those legs.
He's hardly played all year.
They didn't know it, but he's taken all the snaps. Look what he's done here tonight.
I think if they had known he was going to play like this, they probably would have done that. But again, as you say, the benefit of hindsight, which you have. And if they could catch the ball a little better, he'd be even better. Pete Lepley and Terrence Hudson, some deeper down the depth chart wide receivers into the game now. For Coach Amstutz. Third and 7. Under 13 minutes to go. Connecticut has been in control throughout. As their fans making the noise, spurring on the defense. Here's Chris Holmes. Up and over he goes. He emerged as their #1 tight end this year when Andrew Clark was unable to play. Holmes, who had been more of a blocker in the past, assumed the pass catching responsibilities and has done so very nicely.
6'6", 265. Little altitude there. Those feet, you know, if his feet weren't so big, he'd probably got even more air.
Without Clark, I mean, Rob Spence, the offensive coordinator, said this guy was probably going to be one of our 2 or 3 best players on the entire team. And Council's pass picked off. Intercepted by Justin Perkins. His 5th of the year and the 12th of his career.
Didn't you say that before this game was over with during our meetings that Perkins would have an interception?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. I'm giving you your love when you earn it. Perkins is one of those guys that he risks a little bit sometimes his coverage techniques, but he's a player who comes up and makes plays.
Not only 2 TDs in a season, but he's the only person who's ever had 2 in a career. Both of them happened to come this year. A 27-yard interception returned against Duke and a 9-yarder against Pitt. Perkins first team all Big East. He's had a nice matchup all night long with the first team all MAC player Lance Moore. Chris Bellamy, the ball carrier. Now look at the interception.
Yeah, you see Perkins, he loses his foot, his shoe. comes out. Good concentration, though.
Good bloodlines in that family. His cousin Darryl Porter was an excellent defensive back at Boston College when Randy Edsall was the defensive backfield coach at BC in the early 90s under Tom Coughlin. Justin Perkins, a 50-year senior. 2nd and 4, Connecticut from the 49-yard line. A blitz. Orlovsky got rid of it quickly. And it's incomplete, intended for Matt Kataya with a flag down on the near sideline.
Good gravy. Let's run the football, Coach Edsall.
You anxious to get back in this Motown record?
Little Motown music tonight, not bad. I'll tell you what, and I bought the last meal. It's your turn. I am very smart about how I do it. See, in Fort Worth the other night, you bought that big steakhouse.
Yeah, and then you bought like a muffin at lunch today, and now it's back to my turn.
Oh, come on now, be fair. Now I bought, you know, some French fries, some fried catfish.
They're trying to find out if they want to accept the penalty for
An eligible receiver downfield, number 46, was covered and went down on a pass route. The penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
There will be 3rd down, and let's get more on Lance Moore, and that's not a good sign with the uniform and shoulder pads off. Rhino?
No, it isn't, Sean, at all. What a disastrous night for Toledo with their injuries. These guys are dropping like flies. Lance Moore has dislocated his right shoulder. As you can see, he's got the ice strapped to it. They popped it back in as soon as he came off the field holding that right shoulder and supporting it with the elbow, and it was gruesome, guys. It's been a tough night here on the sidelines to watch Patrick Body with 2 broken bones in his forearm, and now Lance Moore with a dislocated shoulder, done for the night.
Here's another who is going to play in the Las Vegas All-Star game. So he still can. Ron Henry the catch. And a 1st down for Connecticut on a 13-yard gain. Lance Moore tonight had 5 catches. So he will finish his Toledo career with 222. 6th in the history of the MAC.
And that's really not even the story. Like we said, you know, his GPA, what was it, like a 3.93 or 3.5?
3.93 last semester.
Yes.
Henry over 100 yards receiving tonight now with that catch. 8 for 103. His 4th 100-yard receiving game of the season. Pass was deflected by Mike Alston. And it falls incomplete, intended for Brandon McLean. 2nd and 10. Oh my goodness.
Well, you know, I stayed up all night last night trying to draw that artwork, and I found a couple of fans that would best hair in the business.
Now I know they're full of baloney. I had a feeling when we saw the other side of the sign, but
I like that.
Oh, I know.
Best non-hair in the business.
Orlovsky's pass deflected by Stephen Morrison, the freshman, and it falls incomplete. Well, we've seen Orlovsky in person now 3 times this year. We talk about what Randy Edsall said. The NFL scouts kind of depends upon who you talk to. The young lady Felicia's going to help you fix your jacket. Thank you, Felicia. Getting a little unexpected airtime. We know that she can perform in the clutch. What about Dan Orlovsky as a pro?
I think Dan is going to be a guy that's going to benefit because of his body and his arm. When he goes to a system somewhere, he's an intelligent guy who makes good decisions, and I think that he's got a great future in front of him. He's got a big arm, he's making all the throws, and with that kind of body like Ben Roethlisberger has, it's hard to mess up.
Deserves a lot of credit, as we said, for helping put this UConn program on the map. His pass is deflected. Is it intercepted? Yes, it is. Nigel Morris, the freshman from Nyack, New York, with an acrobatic play. 3rd interception of the season for the redshirt freshman. Morris, one of 19 freshmen who have played either true freshman or redshirt for Toledo this year.
But you know what? You watch that. That's not Orlovsky's fault. The receiver keeps moving back and drifting away from the route. And so, you know, we're sitting here blowing Orlovsky's horn a little bit there. And then his receiver drifts out of the pattern.
Didn't help him. Morris, the freshman with the interception. He was voted their best defensive back on their team by the team at their banquet. There's some pretty good counterparts in that defensive backfield. 13-yard run on that play for the quarterback Marcus Council. Orlovsky, as we said, had chances to go elsewhere. Michigan State, he said, well, they had Jeff Smoker there. I went to Purdue, but they had just signed Kyle Orton. I went to Virginia. Didn't seem like Coach Welsh and the staff were that interested in me. He went to Boston College's camp. He said if they had offered him a scholarship, he might have gone there. Wound up going to Connecticut against his dad's opinion. And it turned out to be a great thing for Orlovsky and certainly a great thing for his home state university. But just a couple of years ago, Craig, 2001, their last year in 1AA football, they had 4,000 season ticket holders. Nobody in the state of Connecticut paid much attention to football. This year, 28,000 season tickets. That beautiful new stadium, the new facilities coming, a bowl win, it would appear, barring a disaster. And Orlovsky is a huge part of all of that. Short pass completed to Steve Odom, and then a flag thrown at the end of the play. Justin Perkins tackled him. Might have used the face mask. He did to tackle him.
But you know what Orlovsky's done is he's given Edsel the chance to tell everybody out there, we've had stars come through this program. And look what it's done. We need pioneers like you, young man, to come on and continue what Orlovsky started.
Let's check in again with Dave Ryan.
Well, Sean, throughout the season, college football coaches have told us today's high school recruits, they want tradition, TV exposure, bowl games, and in some cases, what they want most of all are state-of-the-art facilities. UConn has really answered the call. Coming in 2006, the Burton Family Complex is going to house a new locker room, coaches' offices, medical facilities. Also, the Shankman Training Center, 120-yard indoor practice facility, 18,000 square feet of strength and conditioning center as well. To keep up with the big-time 1A programs, facilities are crucial, and UConn is well on its way.
Was the Shankman facility named after Craig James's golf game?
Oh, yeah.
Steve Odom the catch. Out to the 44-yard line. And Randy Edsel becomes a hot commodity with the remarkable job he's done, the transition without great facilities from 1AA to 1A and the consistent winning. And he did sign a contract. We talked about it during halftime of the game before us tonight. About $900,000 a year. It seemed like a preemptive strike by UConn to ward off the interest of other schools, and I think they had Syracuse in mind. He is a Syracuse graduate, played there, coached there for 10 years, has great affection for the university. And when we asked him about that early in the year, he said, you know, they've made a commitment to me, I've made a commitment to them. I would listen, you know, if something interesting came along, but I'm very happy here. I'm not anxious to leave.
You know, Trev Alberts has been on this horn all day about loyalty of this in the studio. and if they want to keep these coaches around, pay them. Now,
well,
I understand what he said. They have here.
This keeps them around.
That keeps him here. But the point is this. You know, having buyout clauses, I think they'll all work around that. But a coach, if he's going to get a big salary like 900 bones to coach somewhere, Connecticut, where he's building something, that's a long-term legacy.
Mm-hmm. And as Trev made the point, you know, people change jobs in other businesses. It depends on what kind of a contract you have and whatever you do. I just think if they're going to let coaches get up and move, players should be allowed to transfer once without penalty.
I agree with that. That ought to be fair.
Mm-hmm. After that, then you can sit out a year.
Yeah, you ought to be. If your coach that recruited you to come there leaves, to me, it's a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's only justice.
The injured UConn player is Afa Anawai. We mentioned earlier his dad was one of the Wild Samoans, the WWE three-time tag team champions, along with Afa's uncle, Sika. His father is also named Afa, and his cousin is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Played football at Miami. He's from a great wrestling family. His mom is a Connecticut graduate, by the way, Afa Anawai.
And that's why he got up and walked off that field. Fear of facing his family members.
Getting body slammed up the turnbuckle.
How dare you get carried off?
1st and 10. Council. Nice looking throw and a catch by Steve Odom. He's caught at least 2 passes in every game this season. That's a 15-yard gain. Odom at 62 catches last year as a redshirt freshman, the most ever by a Toledo freshman. He is 5 tonight for 28 yards.
Now Council is a redshirt freshman quarterback that's showing us something tonight, and he's showing that staff and his teammates that should he be needed next year in more than just a mop-up role, he's more than capable of it.
The coaches say he has all the tools. There are flags all over the place. Council threw a complete pass to Jalen Parmalee. Council's just been learning their spread offense and been working on getting a little bit stronger on that wiry frame, holding the call against Toledo. Tuesday night, the Oregon State Beavers, led by Mike Hass with 81 receptions this year, take on Brady Quinn and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in the Insight Bowl at 9:45 Eastern Time on ESPN. A big part of Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and ESPN2. The Insight Bowl is available in high definition on ESPN HD. Call your cable operator, DirecTV or the Dish Network today. Do you have HD? Oh, come on, Craig. Get in the 1980s, will you?
I got a hot dog. I ain't got HD.
From midfield after the penalty. 8 minutes to go as Council throws underneath to Chris Holmes. I mentioned what a nice job he's done this year. I wonder how much better this Toledo team might have been if they had Andrew Clark. He would have been a senior tight end this year. As we mentioned, one of the best players on the team. He was first team All-MAC last year when he caught 35 passes. Last February, he was in a Bible study meeting. The chair he was sitting in broke. He injured his hip, and he still has not recovered. For a long time, they couldn't figure out exactly what's wrong with him. He wound up missing this entire year from an injury suffered while sitting in a broken chair back in February. They hope Clark will come back and play next year and really help improve an already strong tight end position. Terrence Hudson with that catch down to the 33-yard line.
And you know, as Hudson made the out, the ball was in the air. Council gets rid of the football, his awareness of where to go with the football. And I think that the fact that he had all of the reps or a lot of reps in practice getting ready for this game while Gradkowski was out, really now you're seeing what a benefit it was for him.
And a flag moving along the line. Tyler King and Nick Kaiser, a couple of the very best in the country. Was it King or was it Kaiser?
It was King.
Offsides on the defense. He was in the neutral zone, causing an offensive lineman to false start. The yardage is enough for a first down.
King, the son of the former New England Patriot linebacker Steve King, who played on some very good Patriot teams under Chuck Fairbanks in the 1970s.
That referee, Cooper Castleberry, he's from Lufkin, Texas, which is real close to Alto, Texas, which is where I hail from. Little bitty town in East Texas.
Council flush from the pocket and goes out of bounds for a loss on the play back at the 30-yard line, chased out by Ray Blagman. We've seen more playing time than he had previously this year and has done a nice job tonight.
Talking with the strength and conditioning coach at University of Connecticut and watching this team play out here and how strong they are, I asked him about their dietary program. They prepare and put together a cookbook, and it's an instructional cookbook that they give to their players. They teach them how to prepare meals for themselves, how to cook. It's a how-to manual. Their theory is, let's don't use the supplements, let's eat right. So we got to teach you how to cook the food, in what order, how to work an oven, you know, how to boil water and things like that. And they feel like that's the best way for them, rather than going with dietary supplementals.
Is he learning how to boil water part hard, or is that part pretty simple?
Well, turning off the stovetop would probably be the challenge.
Sean Main batted down that last pass. It'll be 3rd down and 10 from the 29-yard line. Connecticut leading with 7:14 to go, 33-10. Andrew Hawkins, the motion man, a deep wide receiver on the depth chart. They fake a screen, then they throw a middle screen. to Trinity Dawson, and he's down to the 25-yard line. It'll be 4th down, and they'll go for it.
You know what that strikes a chord with me, that conversation about the supplements that kids are taking. Way too many high school kids are into steroids. It's a problem. They have to figure out how to stop it at the top in the pro ranks, and it'll trickle down to where these kids, they feel like they have to do it because everybody else is doing it, you know, and it's giving them the advantage. It's a problem in America. Make no bones about it.
Teach them how to boil water at a younger age. Council in trouble, needs to get rid of it. It's 4th down. He does not, and he's sacked by Maurice Lloyd back at the 32-yard line, and Connecticut will take over on downs. Certainly the defense bolstered by the return of Tyler King tonight. That's the 4th sack given up by the offense of Coach Tom Amstutz. All right, thank you very much, and welcome back, everybody, to Detroit. Connecticut takes over 1st and 10, and Deion Anderson, the fullback, gets a rare carry. The carries haven't been quite as rare lately. He rushed 48 yards on a career-high 7 carries in their last regular season game against Rutgers. And had 5 carries in the game before that. So coming in, 12 of his 18 carries for the year have been in the last 2 games. He's from Providence, Rhode Island. He was an all-New England wrestler in high school, won a New England State or New England Regional wrestling title. And Avon Old Farms Academy in Connecticut. Anderson again, that's his 4th carry of the night. And here's Dave Ryan.
Sean, we're seeing Deion Anderson all over the field for UConn tonight, making plays on offense at fullback. A couple carries here in this drive. Special teams as well. He's come a long way this year. He's very emotional, and at times he'd lose control in the past on the field, leading to several 15-yard personal foul penalties. Coach Randy Edsel has had talks with Anderson, telling Deion the outbursts had to stop. The coach says this year Anderson has matured considerably, and that has allowed him to take his game to a new level. Guys, he's so exuberant. He wants to be on the field both ways, offense and defense. He's volunteered to play linebacker. The coach says, not yet. Let's take the fullback, please.
And he'll be back next year. Randy Edsel was telling us on the field before the game tonight, he'll be a big part of their plans for next season. He'll be very deep at fullback and tailback. Karan Henry could not hang on, and Shane Hussar will come on the punt. Just the 3rd punt of the night for Connecticut.
Well, we're headed to beautiful Southern California for the Holiday Bowl.
Looking forward to that.
I think it's supposed
Holiday
to be
Bowl, Texas Tech and
though.
Cal. Some rain in the forecast in Southern California.
So my Shankmeister might have to stay in the bag.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll have a chance to rip up the sod of Southern California. Hussar, the freshman, has battled a hamstring injury much of the year. Steve Odom fighting valiantly, but with limited reward, a 6-yard return of a 37-yard punt. So at least 6,000 Connecticut fans made the trip. So many tickets the schools sold. Others made arrangements on their own, and it's been worth the effort for the Huskies. Well, the Huskies are happy in their first bowl game ever. They lead the Motor City Bowl 33-10 with just under 5 minutes to go. Toledo back on offense, 1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. Marcus Council, who's played the second half at quarterback. He is chased, stays on his feet, and lost the football, and got it back. Well, that was an eventful play for Council. He recovered his own fumble.
You know, you see the pursuit and the aggressiveness of Jason Ward, 59, coming backside. Doesn't make the sack, but he causes the ball to be fumbled, and that's what, you know, there's some guys out there that are playing right now that want to be out there, you know. Give them a little holiday cheer.
Daniel Davis, a freshman to the ball game, also in pursuit there. Ward played a lot when Tyler King was injured. Council, second and forever, throws incomplete. 10 for Quinn Broussard. And Craig, it's unfortunate Gradkowski wasn't healthy and couldn't play, because Toledo, as we've seen in other telecasts this year, a much better team than they demonstrated tonight. And I, for one, am glad to see 5 MAC teams get into bowl games. In recent years, they've really been kind of shortchanged in this process. This year, because other conferences couldn't fill their slots, they got a few extra spots, and let's hope they continue to put on good shows.
You know what? It's a good football conference. They play great ball out there. They get out, they go after people. They have quarterbacks. They challenge you, and it is, and it really is an opportunity for more than just 1 or 2 to go out and benefit from the rewards of a city in a bowl game.
They'll be 1-2 the MAC this year after this Toledo loss. Marshall lost to Cincinnati in the Fort Worth Bowl, while Bowling Green beat Memphis in the GMAC game. And Miami and Northern Illinois still to play their bowl games. Toledo has to punt on 4th and 25. Brett Kern, the true freshman from Grand Island, New York. Western New York with the punt. Must be using a Balata ball as it spins back to the 45. Just a 26-yard punt. That's not the one you want the backspin on.
I use hard balls. I want it to go as far as it can possibly go. Left, right, down the middle, it doesn't matter.
Miami in the Independence Bowl, the last game for Terry Hepner before he goes to Indiana as the head coach against Iowa State. And Troy and Northern Illinois out in San Jose in the Silicon Valley Football Classic. Northern Illinois, you know, one of those teams in recent years, won a slew of games, beat some big teams like Maryland and Alabama.
Yes,
didn't get a chance to go. Now they get a chance to go.
Good example. Very good example. Troy's a good football team.
The only eligible team that didn't go, with the exception of teams like South Carolina and Clemson, that elected not to go for disciplinary reasons. The only eligible team in the country that didn't go to a bowl game was Akron, right out of the MAC, 6-5. And that's too bad, because Charlie Fry's a great quarterback. Would have been nice to see him on the national stage.
And you know, you and I have been talking as we travel the country here about the bowl system as it is. And I know you have kind of some strong feelings that maybe
as it is, playoff.
You know, playoff, or just go back to the way it was.
If it's not be a playoff, go back to the old way.
Yeah.
You know, because what you've done with this system is you still haven't satisfied people that the best 2 teams are playing. I think Auburn's the best team in the country. They're not going to win the national championship. This system clearly doesn't work. Bellamy, tough run down inside the 15-yard line. And David Thomas made the tackle. I like the old way just fine. You know, you sit there on January 1st and you go from one game to the next. They all had their own little sizzle and meaning. It was possible that 2 or 3 games might have an impact on the national championship game. Now you put all the focus on one that isn't necessarily the way it should be anyway.
You and I know that it won't happen, though, because of the TV rights fees that are being paid right now for the opportunity to, quote, own the BCS bowl structure.
They play the playoff in every other division of college football. Why not this one?
Because you have a lot of blinded, closed-minded presidents out there that still are getting enough money to have their athletic departments survive.
Gradkowski fell down on the handoff. He was ruled down by contact. J.P. Pakaziak made the play. You know, the previous play, the touchdown was saved by David Thomas, and it has been an unhappy homecoming for him. But in this holiday season, his story is worth telling. He's number 8 for Toledo. David Thomas is from right here in Detroit. He's one of 15 children. Orlovsky coming out for the last time through a great hand. Ron Henry also comes out, and the senior center, Billy Irwin, gets a hand. Greatest quarterback in Connecticut history. I think Randy Edsel has to convince him, hey, it's a good thing I'm taking you out. And a handoff straight ahead to Bellamy. So we talk about obstacles that people have overcome. We told a number of those stories tonight. David Thomas, one of 15 children. His mom just couldn't take care of everybody. He and his brother Leon were adopted by his grandmother, Sally Fenderson, when he was 7 months old. David was raised in the very tough streets of East Detroit. His dad's in jail. He's been in jail since he was less than a year old. He's still in jail. David doesn't even know why. He's only seen him about 10 times. But with a grandmother and 2 strong aunts, Patricia and Felicia Fenderson. They've kept him on the right track. And here he is in college. He's going to graduate from college, and he's playing in a major bowl game tonight. Matt Lawrence scores the touchdown for Connecticut. The 2nd rushing touchdown of the season. The sophomore from Bloomfield, Connecticut. 11-yard touchdown run for Lawrence, who started at tailback the first couple games of the season. And lost the job to Brockington, who was battling concussion at the beginning of the year. And Brockington's been the main man ever since. 39-10. And a chance to reach 40 points for UConn as Newsy has it took blocked by J.P. Bakaziak. They won't reach 40. One of the few blunders on special teams. Our Capital One player of the game is Larry Taylor. He returned the opening kickoff 35 yards and set up their field goal drive to start the game. He had a punt return 68 yards for a touchdown. Another 54-yard kickoff return set up a touchdown. He really set the tone, Craig, in the early part of the ball game when it was a game.
And you know what? He was doing his thing on special teams when Gradkowski and the offense at Toledo couldn't do anything to counter. Every time he made a move on the special teams, Toledo's offense went out and did not have an answer for it. But look at the grit and determination of Larry Taylor. An outstanding effort by this young man in a role that he had in this game. He goes out and earns MVP honors. I will say this. I do believe strongly that the offensive line of Connecticut tonight had an excellent game, and they too should be given some kind of accolade or an attaboy at a minimum for their effort.
2 minutes 52 seconds, and they scored an 11-yard run by Lawrence.
Randy Edsel got a nice little math down there.
Did he?
Oh yeah.
I've known Randy since 1980 when he coached at Syracuse, and I was a student there working in the football office, and he looks the same today as he did then. This guy isn't aging at all. He's 46 years old. He's older than me.
Really?
You would never think that looking at the two of us.
Oh.
And of course, I've had to work with you all these years, so that could explain the rapid aging process. Kickoff out of bounds. Orlovsky over greeting well-wishers. Next time we see him in a uniform being the Senior Bowl.
The ball will be placed at the out-of-bounds spot. First down.
These are great times in the Nutmeg State. National champions in men's and women's basketball. And now a bowl victory in their first trip ever to the postseason as a 1A school. They did play in the 1AA playoffs a few years back. That was Coach Marino, the receivers coach. Vinny Marino talking to Randy Edsel. He's had an even better year because he is a die-hard Boston Red Sox fan. Short pass to Quentin Broussard, the junior from Carrollton, Texas.
Is complete to 23, Broussard.
Out of bounds at the 50. Now our Capital One player of the game is separate from the official bowl MVP. They picked their own, the Motor City Bowl people, and they did not select Larry Taylor. They picked Dan Orlovsky. And he's certainly a worthy candidate too at 20 for 41, under 50% passing. I like our choice better. Not that it wasn't good. 239 yards, 2 touchdowns for Orlovsky, an interception. You know, with Taylor, when it was a game, he made the most important plays in the game.
And the offensive line in front of Orlovsky gave him all that time to throw the ball. I mean, I know we're not sitting up here trying to rip Orlovsky.
He joined some pretty good guys who've won the MVP award of this bowl game as quarterback. Chad Pennington from Marshall in 1998. Byron Leftwich in 2000 from Marshall. A couple of first-round picks. Ryan St. Pierre at Boston College, who has been in the NFL as well. 2002, and their win over Toledo. Pass incomplete with 9 seconds to go. Intended for Andrew Hawkins.
Not a bad thought there, Lloyd. What a night. And this is a guy who, remember, he got hurt early on, had to leave the game, came back into play.
Senior from Daytona Beach with the Motor City Bowl record, 17 tackles in his final game. Third down and 10 for the Rockets. Their season will end at 9-4. Connecticut will finish at 8-4. This is the last play of the Motor City Bowl. An impressive bowl debut for the University of Connecticut, and a great way to go out for Dan Orlovsky and the other senior Huskies. They are the champions of the 2004 Motor City Bowl. Final score, Connecticut 39, Toledo 10. Coming up next, the Olay ISU Grand Prix of Figure Skating from Beijing, China. Now for Craig James, Dave Ryan, Sean McDonough saying good night from Detroit. The Huskies a winner in Motown.